Real quick, I want to give a shout out to the members of NAPALM. They have strapped on their armor and are casting the spells of awesome by supporting this channel every month. Thank you so much. And I think you are interested in becoming a member. You can do so by clicking join down below this video and pick a level that is right for you. And I would like to give a very special thank you to the Lords of NAPALM. Bounty Code, Jared Woodhouse, Daimlos, Farthest Reach, Sparrow, Christopher Hensel, Random Rob, Kenneth Kramer, Zelic Lived, Rodney Yomam, Greenhouse, Vander, and Galerain Moonsong. Thank you for your highest tier membership. Yeah, because she was like, yeah, that'd be better for me to give me a little extra time, too, to get the kids settled, so. Well, what's up, everybody?
So that's fine. I'll go do my Patreon post while we're hanging out. Because I did some cool shit yesterday, making maps.
New maps.
Oh, yeah.
More adventures.
City of Forkland.
Okay, okay.
What's
up, everybody?
Weaving the Void YouTube today too for that stuff.
Ooh, okay.
Let's see here.
We'll be playing some Vanguard. We're waiting on Bounty Code and Sparrow.
Other YouTube account.
Binlin won't make it today.
No, he sent me that. I had updated you guys yesterday. He
told
me he had to cover somebody's work shift.
Yeah. Which is never fun.
No, it's not. I do not miss working for other people. Oh, I'll come let you out in a second, Sam. Alright, maybe I better do it now. You're right.
Every time I log back into Vanguard, I just kind of am a little bit amazed how good it still looks.
Best part about the hummus that Chris is making is she cooked the garbanzos over the wood fire yesterday, so that's got this underlying like wood fire camp smoke flavor to it.
Oh, nice.
So good. It's so good.
I love that taste, man. That enhances almost I can't think of anything it doesn't make better.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I made Philly cheesesteaks the other morning over the wood fire. Dude, I had like double the meat, so I had a bunch of meat left over for the next day, and I mixed it in with some scrambled eggs and made like a meat and, egg omelet, and it just had that smoky.
Me and Sparrow and WoW Classic, we made it to 63 yesterday. So we're like well paced to be right at 65 for tomorrow.
All right, we were catching Maduros up this morning, so I think we all got to. I'm 61, but I think. Are you 61, Maduros? I don't remember. Joey's into 60, but he did not ding this morning.
Yeah, I'm 61.
Yeah, so Joey's still 60. He might be 62, 63 by the time we get to Thursday.
And I rolled my warrior yesterday too.
Yeah, how'd that go?
I'm not a big fan of the warrior, but it's okay. You know what I mean? I'm really just leveling up so I can play with my wife and get her caught up. But, you know, there are situations where warriors are kings. And there's that new build people figured out, I was reading about, where they actually put more points towards, I forget, one or the other, not the main tanking one. But it's like an unstoppable build of warriors. So the warrior may end up being a big deal this time around.
Oh, and nice. Yeah, by Ice Crown, they're godly.
Maybe that's what everybody's talking about. Actually, that might be what they're talking about.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of warriors by Ice Crown. A lot of warriors will be dual wielding two-handers.
Yeah. Yep.
Fury.
Yeah, which is nuts. How's everybody doing this morning? This fine Tuesday morning.
Yeah, Wrath is where they kind of had like a change in mindset a little bit, where you'll probably hear it often spoken about. Bring the player, not the class.
Yeah.
So that's why you notice like a lot of class specs became more powerful, because they wanted people, more people to be able to do like solo content, but be more effective.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Ooh, 23 active players this morning.
I'm gonna put follow on you, Maduros. Oh, where'd Nathan go?
I'm just right outside.
Alright. Let me know when you get an invite to me, sir.
Oh, I forgot about the invites. Here they come.
Actually, where is the outside?
Yeah, it took me a second too.
Like 3 different doors.
Okay, just sent you an invite.
Yeah, I'll actually follow.
Maduros.
Finish up this,
Is Bounty online yet, Sparrow?
Yep, he just hopped in, yeah.
Is he just Bounty Code with this character? Forget.
Yes.
Oh, I spelled your name wrong too, Sparrow.
Thank you.
That's all of us for today, right?
believe so.
Yep.
Is Zenix joining us in group today?
Benlin had to fill in for somebody else's shift this morning, so he won't be able to come.
Right. Is Zenix joining us? I noticed his,
Oh, I don't know.
Here to lurk and
Oh, cool. Okay.
watch us fuck things up.
Good morning, Floodball!
Good morning, Zenix.
Hope you're having a wonderful day.
He might be AFK.
Yeah, I think, I might be wrong, but I know last time at least he missed our group stream because I think he works like a night shift or something the night before, so this is really where his sleep time begins. So he may just have us on just to kind of hear what's going on while he's trying to go sleep, maybe.
Maybe.
Alright. I don't know what we're doing, I forgot, but...
I think we were just questing. Let's see.
Let's check the map.
Got buffs.
Yeah, what am I supposed to have on?
And an orb for everybody. I just gave it. Yep. Excellent.
So that's funny. That spirit orb you just gave.
Mm-hmm.
Last week when we were doing that quest with the orb, that's the orb I was clicking on, and not the one for the quest.
I'm semi-AFK on follow for the moment because I'm trying to wrap up this Patreon post real quick before we head into too deep stuff.
Yeah, I was going to pull this stuff nearby until then. Till you're ready.
I'm almost done. I'm just uploading 2 more photos here.
These are feeling even beefier this morning.
Wonder if they've been adjusted.
Oh, you're slacking your Sionis' DPS. And Binland's DPS, yeah.
Oh, true. Oh, that's funny. I was like, who's fearing these things? It was me. I didn't realize that's what that one did. So used to being a paladin that like it didn't even occur to me that I might be the one.
So what class is this, if not a paladin?
The Dreadlord is, I think, is what they're called.
Oh.
Something like that. I'm getting it wrong, but it's I'm like mixing classes here between games, but something like that. The Dread Knight, that's what they're called.
Okay.
They couldn't play the Dire Lord, so next best thing.
The transformation is happening.
Yeah,
No. No.
The Lich Napalm.
No.
Dragon knew what he was talking about.
Wrath of the Lich Napalm. No, it's more of it's the only. I thought it would be good to play it because I played the Dire Lord, so I can kind of see how many ideas they took from Vanguard for this class.
It's for science, you're saying.
It's for, yeah, research and development. It is a fun class, too.
Oh, I like the EverQuest 2 Dire Lord. They were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Shadow Knight?
Shadow Knight.
Or
yeah.
Shadow Knight, yeah, same difference.
Alright, so the quests we have right
Okay.
now are... We didn't have any more to pick up, right?
Yeah, thank you, Elliot.
We need glowing blood samples for the one. For the 5 brothers, we need... Oh, these are these 2 quests. For the courier... Yeah, so we have the courier and the 5 brothers, so...
Did
Oh.
you guys complete Nature
Actually-
of the Uvari?
No, I'm actually looking at that right now, because it's the Jinkara Forest, the Legend of Lord Sang, and the Jinka Wardens, which we have to complete in order. We have a whole bunch of quests, I'm just noted.
What, about 10? If you don't count the 2 starter ones?
Yeah, we need... So the next one we have is to kill the Uvari Gaze Fiends, which are going to be over here.
That's weird. Mine says completed. It shows all the tasks completed, but the overall quest doesn't show completed.
Yeah. So I'm flying in the direction of the next update, which is for the... Not the quest is not wanting to track in my quest tracker for some reason. Oh, there it is. I just had to scroll down. This is the Rajin Glare Gaze Fiends.
Okay.
Oh, I found them. And the Glare Wings. So both of those quests are right here where I'm at. Alright, let me move my Xbox controller.
Comes everybody else. Right.
a nice belt on here. 4 int, 4 whiz. I have a good belt, but if somebody wants it, it's a nice one.
Pretty sure not only do we need to kill these, we also need the wings off of them as well. Same thing with the gaze fiends. Kills and 8 wings apiece.
I see it.
Yeah, I got a wing off of that one. 1 of 6.
Yeah, so those are gonna be loots. The other one are kills. Oops, that's nothing on it for me.
Oh, there's a named Zorgraz.
Yep. Sure is. He's still only a 2-dot though.
They also drop, so any of them can drop the wing.
What do you mean?
Did you say something, Ren?
Yeah, I said, what do you mean they
Like, it's not just one kind that drops the wings?
well,
They
it's
all-
2 different quests. 2
Right.
different mobs and 2 different quests.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It dropped off the one that updated for just the kill quest. I got a wing on it.
Right? Sorry, maybe I'm confused about something, because the 2 quests we have are both kill quests, and they also need wings off of the mobs. The way you had
Oh,
said
okay.
it, I thought you meant that a wing dropped off of a non-winged mob, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah. You can get them both quests off the same mob. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that means we need 16 wings.
Well, there's glare wings, and then there's Olvari wings, which
Yeah,
are 2 different
16.
types. Yeah.
Right, so
Oh,
types of
gotcha.
confusion, we thought it was just 8 wings.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because we have the gaze fiends and the glare wings. We probably need the ravagers too. Let me look here. Let's see if quest says anything about the ravagers. Oh, yep. Hold up. There's another quest for. Gotta find it now. Raw Gen Ravagers. So go ahead and kill the Ravagers too, because we need 8 of those.
Okay. There's a lot of those around.
Yeah, we'll get 3 quest completions from this area.
Ravagers is just kill.
Does anybody remember what the keyboard command is to do the chain abilities? The reactives?
Oh, I did used to know.
Why is counterspell probably need to look it up because I'm getting tired of mouse clicking.
I know you can also drag them anywhere on the hotbar. I
Yeah, I
forget
thought it was
about those.
an actual ability that you had to click.
No, there's a keyboard command what it does is it'll pick the first, if you have 3 or 4 different reactives, it'll just automatically use the first one, but there is a keyboard command.
I didn't realize that. Actually, I didn't even know what you're saying, Ram, was possible. There is
so you know how you get the crits and reactives that pop up in that special hotbar?
Yep.
So like if it's a counterspell, the Y button is supposed to default to the counterspell, but if it's a reactive follow-up, like a chain ability, there is a keyboard command that'll just do whatever's the first one in that.
Interesting. And whatever's available, right?
Right. Or you can, as you said, you can drag it to your
Yeah, but then you have to select which one in that case, and it takes up hotbar space.
Right, and then you might as well just leave it in the special hot slots anyway.
Yeah.
I'm guessing for this, once you get the amount of wings you need, you don't want to loot them anymore because they might stack.
Feature.
Oh, he's coming somewhere. There he is.
Ah, I see why chain reaction is not set. There's no hotkey set for it at the moment. I could swear it used to be the T button, and it's not actually set.
You're probably right.
Yeah. So here's what it is: counter reaction, a counter action. Counterspell is Y. A rescue reaction is V. And I'm pretty sure chain used to be the T, so I'm just gonna step it and watch what happens.
Daybreak blinked yet on the database? What's the latest? There's some forum conversations going on now that are fairly exciting, and that's about as far as it's gotten.
Go T. Booyah. Oh, that's much better. Okay.
Couple of
I died in
devs
the
have
process of
chimed
testing it,
in
but hey, it
on
Sorry, I was looking at the quest. So I
sorry, it's hard to
apologize.
talk when there's this many people in the group.
Oh,
but
where are you
yeah,
at?
so yeah, there's
Yeah,
tiny
I was-
bits of
I was
progress.
looking at the.
I don't even know if you guys can hear
There
me.
you are. Oh, I can't use it in combat. I'll have to wait a sec. Oh, it's using though. Maybe because I wasn't in combat. Okay, let me heal you. There you go.
It's like an intelligence item. On
Yeah,
the
it's a nice int two-handed staff. I have one.
Yeah.
Yep, not gonna let up on him.
So I have 5 of 6 glare wings. What's the?
The gaze fiends, which are the little bit rarer around here. It looks like.
Has anybody figured out a way to where you can alt tab or use another window without this window closing down in this game? By the way,
I play it in windowed mode.
Yeah, so do
So do
I.
I, but it still
Mhm.
does that. If I alt tab, it
Really?
just goes away.
Oh, it doesn't do that to me. But are you on a second monitor with it?
Yeah,
or-
second monitor, yeah.
That might be why.
Well, if I click on my second monitor, it doesn't go down anywhere.
Mine does. I don't know why. And every time I try to fix it, it gets even worse.
Are you
It
like
like
maybe-
doesn't load.
Windowed, like as in smaller resolution than the resolution of your monitor?
I don't believe so, but who
Yeah,
knows?
try-
Who
'cause
knows?
Maybe it's acting like windowed full screen, and that's different. Just make
Yeah.
it windowed and make it slightly smaller resolution. That's how I play it on my
Okay.
4K.
That's probably what it is.
Okay, I have my glare wings, so
It's like it's hard to like do things, you know, like besides play the game. Like if I gotta do anything with chat or anything, the game goes away.
Yeah, you can't watch Netflix.
That's the prohibitive way to keep yourself from watching Netflix. Play games that don't let you tab out.
They don't let you do nothing. You leave the game, it closes.
you're not gonna want to take these. They take you down pretty fast.
Yeah, with this so far, and I'm probably doing things wrong, but if you guys attack quickly, you're gonna pull aggro. Cause
I don't know what you're talking about.
they just stack. So my
What was I bitching about this morning? Paladins who just run right in and do their consecration without letting me get aggro first on my DK. And here I am, like, hit the button.
yeah.
I'm gonna blame it on testing.
Dude, I think the worst in all MMOs for that was Final Fantasy 14, because normally when you're playing that game, you go ahead and get your weapon out and you're already ready to attack. Like you already got auto attack on before the mob comes. You know what I mean? That way you can just start doing your ability rotation. But then you play a ranged class and you're used to doing that and you pull because you start shooting arrows. Dude, I messed up so many groups because I was used to playing melee and being ready for the attack. But with the, in that class the range is a bard, but I pull everything. Like they would literally be like, alright, let's hold up, and I would pull. I'm like, oh god, I was just trying to get ready.
Don't pull that room, Nate.
Yeah, don't pull the room.
You're like that Archer in the Rain in the second Lord of the Rings movie. Hold it.
Yeah.
Out of a finger.
Yeah.
Old man fingers can't hold it anymore.
Why is that mob got a blue name?
Is it charm?
I guess.
That's a simulacrum. Couple of gaze fiends around here we need for their wings. It should have despawned. I don't know why that thing is still around.
Yeah. Now he's
It's supposed
gone.
to vanish. Okay, I was gonna say it's supposed to vanish after 60 seconds, but that lasted longer than 60 seconds.
We just don't need the Ravagers as well, right?
No.
We
no,
got
need
all
the,
those? Okay.
Gaze fiends. Yep. Nope. Okay. I'm
What?
just-
What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm good. I can't see this target. There we go. There's a wing on that for whoever needs more of those gaze fiend wings, Ulvari wings. There's a couple more gaze fiends out here that we need.
Yeah, when will we be doing our first dungeon?
20-ish, I think, because 20 is the Tomb of Lord Sang, isn't it?
Feels right. Had a lot of fun with that last time I did it. Let me fix my sound. So I want to say this just in case anybody's not aware. People can still mass report people to get them banned in WoW Classic, and people are taking advantage of it right now on Death Knights. Don't remember which spec. One of the specs is not doing so hot, and when they join PvP, because they're making the team lose, they're mass banning them. There's a ton of people banned right now.
The player reputation system isn't working?
Well, that's a broken. You don't let the players decide to ban people. Never do that. That's a joke Visionary Realms always makes. Like, yeah, that would never go bad. Like, I can't believe Blizzard still does that. I thought that was old news and they didn't do that anymore, but I was watching an Asmongold video yesterday of all the Death Knights getting banned.
I think that's because they're getting banned for not participating in the battlegrounds.
No, supposedly people are reporting them for that, but actually they are. I don't remember which spec. One of the Death Knights sucks in PvP, or at least right now. And so it's making people lose, so they're just acting like they're AFK and reporting them. And enough people do it, and Blizzard believes it's true, and they're banning them.
Right, yeah, it's probably the automated system that's behind the scenes going, X amount of people reported this person, it must be a legit thing.
But with Wrath this close, like, that's not good, because they might miss the launch.
But it's also just vindicating this is why you can't have player votes for anything.
Just in case somebody thought that, Visionary Realms is not planning on doing anything like that.
Well, that's why PvP sucks, and it shouldn't be in any game. Oh, did I? No, sorry, I hit push to talk.
I didn't think of it from that point of view, but it could.
Brings out the best in people. They look at DPS charts and then they ban you.
There's a strength helm on there, Nathan.
Oh, really?
There's a topic for discussion.
Oh, nice. Thank you for letting me know. Wouldn't have seen it.
I'm adding that to the...
I think I'm jumping on your bandwagon for that bounty.
There you go.
My biggest gripe is when, they change the PvE classes and abilities because of PvP.
Oh, I hate that. Hate it. Did I tell you I hated it?
PvP
I'm right
is...
there with you.
I dislike PvP immensely.
I've been enjoying the battlegrounds. I've done a few now.
Yeah, but aren't battlegrounds, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know enough about them, aren't they like a special arena type event that you opt into?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
like
a giant
ball and PvP.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a giant Zerg fest.
Well, it depends which one you're doing, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
can be.
That's acceptable.
And there are objectives in them. Those are addictive.
You gotta capture the flag, or take certain amount of towers.
Or taking over,
like that.
holding different points of interest.
So it depends which one.
Pretty cool. And then there's one that's kind of like a MOBA style where you gotta connect, taking over all the way to the main keep, taking over towers. Those are fun. But that's what I'm talking about. That's what people are getting banned from.
And Ren, you can add this to the topic list of, and I know it'd be controversial, but the whole DPS meters charts.
Oh,
and I know that's
I'm adding
controversial.
it. Nope, it's not controversial to me. DPS meter.
Yeah, DPS meters, yeah.
Oh, ugh.
Gross!
That's how they're deciding whether to ban someone.
So
whether you're welcome or not.
I understand the fun of them, too. I do. And I understand the people who argue their usefulness. The
again,
problem
you could
is...
opt in.
Right. That's like saying, well, cocaine clears out your sinuses. Okay, but it's also not good, right? So.
Well, in small doses.
Boy, we're really going
Hey,
in.
oh, yeah. This has caught off the rails.
They're not controversial if you can see your own, but you shouldn't see other people's.
Unless they opt in to show you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a point someone made the other day in favor of DPS meters being used by raid leadership.
Oh, sure.
To help guide players who might not be understanding things like, oh, you shouldn't be using an ice spell on this mob because it has a huge ice mitigation. And so if you're seeing someone in the meter who's using ice spells when they shouldn't be, then that's a way to know, because if you didn't have the tracker, you wouldn't be able to know that they were doing that in the first place. So you can help correct those types of mistakes.
Okay.
Right, but as you pointed out, that's a way to be socially banning someone if they're not standing up and doing what they're supposed to be doing. You pointed out that that's going to go wrong every time.
Yeah, and here's the deal.
Hang on. I feel like we're on different subjects, because I'm talking about mitigation of damage, not the amount of damage being done.
Yeah. You're talking about
right.
logging.
If you're not playing
right.
If you're not playing right, and you're seeing that I'm not playing right and not doing certain spells or whatever, you can say, okay, we don't want Sparrow on the raid. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's out.
Isn't that? Could you get that
that's the
information
same
from
thing.
combat logs though?
That's what the parsers are for, is to be able to parse that information.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is why do you need the parser if that's the only information you need? It would be in the combat log.
Because in order to get it, if you're talking about cycling through thousands of lines of combat data, the parser is what's going to pull that out for you.
Right. I mean, I know what it is. What I'm saying is if that's the only reason, because that's, once again, saying that as an argument is like the kumbaya version of what really happens. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think we're talking about separate things here, because we were talking about damage.
Right.
And I moved the conversation to mitigation, and now people are. It sounds like the
well,
conversation
because
is
the
still
problem
being about damage. not
what
about
the reason
mitigation.
why is if you allow one, you have to allow the other because you're allowing an add-on in your game. Therefore, people are going to make the other. They're going to make the parser for damage as well. You see what I'm saying? You can't just allow one.
I would argue that in the case of the mitigation example, it's perfectly acceptable to have someone be told, hey, don't use ice spells on this particular mob because it's not being effective. And if that person keeps doing it even after they've been, reminded a couple of times, then it's totally justifiable to not bring them along to the next raid because they're not paying attention to what
and they're not trying to get better. Yeah.
Right, and they're not trying to get better. But the damage thing is a whole other conversation, because that's telling people, you're not doing the proper rotation, therefore you shouldn't be allowed in. That's a different.
Or your gears, or your.
But it's the same thing. It's the same idea.
It is. Your raid leader's a dick, and he doesn't care, and he just says, "Oh, you're not optimum." He'll make any excuse. Yeah. And I've had that personally happen in raiding guilds.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like Renfel's telling
there was no help.
That's the nice version of what could happen.
Yeah, that's on paper. It sounds good, but in reality, it doesn't pan out.
Yeah, in reality, people get mad, aggravated, and you know what I mean. Like they just, I get it. I understand why they get mad and aggravated, but it ends up becoming very nasty.
Very quick.
I feel like we're also verging into confirmation bias territory, because you guys keep saying it happened to me, it happened to me, it happened to me.
I didn't. I'm going off
other.
I'm going off.
I'm saying both can
vast,
happen.
I'm going off vast amounts of data of MMO playing across forums and seeing people leaving games and etc. I've actually seen more of the nice in my time. I've seen more of like, let's help everybody out. This guy can't. He's not keeping up with the damage. Let's find out why. Let's take him to a training dummy. Show us what your rotation is. We'll help you. Oh, did you know you could do this? Did you know if you move this buff in between these two, then it'll increase your damage? You know, like I've seen more of that. But from conversations and forums and all the complaints over the years, and it seems as though that's not the normal. The normal is, okay, we don't got time for this. You're kicked. You know,
we've had a whole conversation about toxic raiding guilds and how they're so hyper competitive and all that stuff. That's where they can see that information is in
5% or less of the player base.
Yes.
So Nathan's comments about it seems like that is very important, because it might seem like that's the case, but that's actually not the case for the vast majority of.
Because the vast majority don't raid, but if you do raid, it's toxic. You argued that.
Where are
like,
all the complaints coming
ago.
from, though? Right? Like, where are all these people coming from that claim that this has happened? I mean, I've seen it. It's not like it's not real. People are assholes. Like, come on.
Well, hang on.
We can't argue with that.
Hang on. Is it toxic, though, to be told or to be taught? Now, there is a fine line between someone teaching, trying to teach someone in a good way, and someone saying, I don't have the time for this, you're just kicked from the guild. And I well agree that from what I've seen, the vast majority of people don't want to take the time to teach someone because they expect you to already have learned your rotation by the time you've gotten into that guild.
Right.
But I would argue that that's not... If you're raiding at that level, you should have learned how to play properly by that point. You should have learned the maximum amount of DPS, etc., not to use this ability on that mob. I don't see how that's toxic to ask someone to be able to play at the highest level of performance.
That's not toxic, but kicking them because they can't do it right away is.
Right away, yes, that would be toxic. But if they haven't figured it out by the third or fourth raid, I don't know that kicking is the solution, but you know, having a polite conversation about, you know, unfortunately we need someone who can do this because we can't get past this raid, so we're going to bring this person along instead. Because there's also, and this is the sucky part of it, there are people with disabilities who can't perform at that level.
Right.
And some people have said it's not fair that they can't participate. Well, what's not fair is that developers haven't figured out a way to put tools into the game to allow those players to compete at the same level of, say, you know, someone who has all 10 fingers, if that makes sense, without being offensive to somebody.
Right. That's a good point, too.
Right. But I tend to agree with Nathan that that's kind of the kumbaya version of what could happen. Usually people don't have patience.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the leadership more than it is on the tools. I mean, it's kind of like saying that we should ban alcohol because some people are alcoholics.
That's a good point.
Some people are going to abuse parsers. You know, they
can't abuse them if they're not in. Just have it for yourself. And then if you want to opt
in, by that argument, we should never sell alcohol anywhere because we can't control the people who are alcoholics.
Well,
if that's what it's going to take, fine.
You know, there's no parsers in 14, right? You right? Like that's a very.
I don't know.
14,
well, 14's a very raid-heavy game, right? Everybody, like the percentage of people raid is outrageous. Everybody, it feels like raids. It's way higher than World of Warcraft. I mean, it is a raiding game. And there's no parsers, no add-ons, right? So if anybody's using them, they get caught, they're banned. That's it. Goodbye. And you know what they have instead is places you can go to see if you are good enough, generally speaking, to do that raid, right? And it's literally like I forget what it is, like an orb or something.
Like a tutorial thing. So, I went through it.
Well, no, it's better than that. So they have that too. They have the tutorial thing, but they also have a place you can go, and it's just like phase 1 of this fight or whatever, right? And you set it up, and you can go with your guild, and you just say, all right, we're going to take turns, and everybody does it, and if you pass, then you are technically good enough. And that's
so
it.
It's basically a DPS. It's a DPS check tutorial.
It's more than that because it depends on your class what it does, but yeah.
Gotcha.
And so that people take their guild and they go and, you know, if they don't do it, then they'll try to figure out why. Like, dude, it says your DPS is too low, or it says your,
EverQuest,
you know, and then
EverQuest 2 kind of did that too with the city raids, because they taught you mechanics in each one of the city raids. Like, this is how this mechanic works, and that's what this raid is all about. And then this is how this.
How do I get out of combat? Sorry to interrupt,
Oh,
but I
sit.
can't put on.
sit and then
I
get back
can't
up.
/sit won't let me.
/
You can't-
end combat, I think.
Yeah, I tried that too.
There's another one you can do.
No. That's annoying. Maybe if we fight another mob,
Yeah,
it'll
just
pop me
just
out.
attack
Yeah.
something else.
Can't put on these nice boots.
Yeah, Josh, that is true that some people will cheat, but like if you're paying attention, they won't get away with it. Like people get banned in 14 all the time for it. Like there's easy ways for a developer to scan and realize you've been using something to pick through their data.
Yeah, data.
Like EverQuest, like you know, unfortunately, you know, we're talking about Daybreak. Like they're not banning nobody. You know, people are doing crazy
They
stuff.
need that cash.
Yeah, they need that money.
Oh, there's a blue weapon on that guy.
It depends on the popularity of the game, how well they're doing, how strict they can be, if that makes sense. You can't be so strict that you got a business, you know what I mean? So, the more popular your game is, the more you can adhere to the rules, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. It is useful. I just also believe that I personally. Here's the funny part. I would like to have parsers. I just don't think it would be good for the majority of people.
I'd like a parser for myself to see how well I'm doing, and maybe, you know, people could share the people that are doing well. You know, what's a good number to be aiming for, and then you'll know, are you hitting that?
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but the issue is from a raid leader perspective.
You know
If
what I
we're
would
failing-
do? I'd be like, send me your parser data.
Exactly, send me your parser data, because I need to make sure that you're actually doing the things that need to be. Well, because if we failed 7 times on the raid because one person is inadvertently, and I'm not saying purposefully, one person is inadvertently, maybe they don't understand that this spell shouldn't be used on this mob at this point in time. Maybe they just don't understand that because they've never played in that encounter before. The only way you're ever going to know that is by having data to sift through and to look at. And having the individual look at it doesn't help the entire guild or the entire raid force if no one's ever getting a chance to look at the data to sift through it to determine what's wrong. It's like a line of code.
Yeah,
that,
click. Good point.
you know,
It's
if you
easy enough
can't
to
find the
ask, though.
little-
It's easy enough to ask for that information.
Right. So what's the difference? I'm confused
Woo,
about what
thank
the
you, Vaughn.
difference is between.
Well,
You're
this
opting
master
in.
debating, someone's
You're
going to go
opting
blind.
in. You're deciding whether you want to share that information or not.
So what happens
You-
if you don't want to share that information?
You can make that
Thank
as
you,
a
Vaughn.
stipulation
Thank
for
you, man.
rating
Thank
if,
you for
if
your
that's
support.
important to
First
you.
super chat of the
Our
day.
Game, you know, you need to share your parser.
And if you
So
don't want
what-
to, then
what is? Hang on. In that same line of thinking, then why can't a parser exist in a game and the raid guild have the option to use it or not?
If the person opts in, I'm fine for that. To me, it has to be opting in. If you want
Well,
to be in that culture,
If you want
That's
to raid in
fine.
that guild, then.
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm still confused about because the argument that we just put forward was that if the guild doesn't want to use the parser, they don't
Okay.
have to use the parser.
Right.
The parser system can exist.
Sure.
The guild doesn't have to use it. You can join the guild that doesn't use it. It's an optional system. Meanwhile, it exists
Has
as
to
an
be
add-on.
has to be made by the developers, not an add-on.
Okay, fair enough. So an in-game parser.
Sure.
So an in-game parser would be acceptable. It's just the third-party parsers are the ones.
Yeah, I think the third party's where a lot of the toxicity comes from because, for one thing, number one, it's a third party, right? How accurate is it, right? What's the standard here? What parser are you using? Maybe I practice with a different third-party parser, and it's showing a little skewed data, etc.
Does it take into account the different classes and
Right.
specs?
Yes. So I think that it needs to be made and developed. If you're going to have a parser, it needs to be developed as part of the game. Because for one thing, I'm just sick of developers leaving it up to the community to add things that are necessary for the game. If it's necessary for the game, then why does the community have to make it? You know?
Because theoretically, EverQuest 2 has a threat meter.
Yes.
Which is a DPS
built in.
meter.
Built in.
It's a DPS meter built in. It
Yep.
tells you, hey, you're doing too much damage. Back off.
Yep.
This just popped up in chat. I want to bring this out for conversation. A huge problem that showed up in Wrath as well was add-ons which showed your gear score. People would then not allow you into a group if your gear score was not what they wanted.
Absolutely.
However, and I'm going to put a counter to that, which is that going back to, because I've heard that argument used since EverQuest 1. Oh, Raid Guild A is such a dick because they won't let me in because I got to have 100 resists and 5,000 AC.
That's a good question, Oaken. Give me a second.
There's a reason for that when it comes to raiding. Like, you will die one-shot deaths to the breath weapons from dragons if your resists aren't X and your armor class isn't Y. So in most cases, it was never about the guilds being dicks. It was just, if you wanted to kill dragons, that's the armor class and resists that you needed. But it is a problem when you have people who apply a blanket gear score and say, we don't want you unless you have 500 whatever. However, when it's a requirement to get into, and correct me if I'm wrong, Maduros might know this more than I do or anybody else, did they ever implement like gear score minimums for zones in World of Warcraft? Like you can't even get into the zone?
So later what they do is they implement item level restrictions to be able to do like heroics in certain raids. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's
queue up for them. But you could still go in there, like if you went there on your own with like a guild.
You just couldn't queue up for it.
You just couldn't queue up for it. Yep. And a lot of that has to do with similar to what you're talking about, where being a certain gear score, you're going to have a certain amount of health, which some of the mechanics, unavoidable mechanics, may automatically kill you if you're not at a high enough gear score because your health won't be high enough.
Yeah, Crinkle just said Burtox in Time as an example. You're dead without resistance to disease at 255. Like, you're just dead. And so that's never been, at least from the perspective I've looked at, it's never been about a raid guild being a dick because they want you to have a certain gear score. It's the fact that you'll just get one-shotted and die.
Well, sometimes that's true, but players always take things way out of hand, right? So after the game's been out for a few years, they just, because they have had a gear score above, I'm making up numbers here, 1,500 for, a year and a half, a new player comes along who's trying to get that gear, and they're in the proper dungeon to get that gear to advance their gear score. However,
players have made up
BS and been like that's happened to me. I was working my way through, and that's happened to me a bunch of times, where I'm working my way through a bunch the content needed to up my gear score, right? Where that's the drops, that's where I need to be. But I get kicked out for not having a gear score higher than what I'm even there for. Than what drops.
You always had that happen to him in retail.
Very common.
That's one of the reasons. Yeah. That's one of the reasons Joey never liked retail. So this does come back to the conversation of, which I think is what Sparrow was trying to make the point of earlier, is that player controlled voting on any of those aspects can be detrimental. It has to be something that's controlled by the developer.
Can be, yep.
Sure.
Especially in instance dungeon content. That's where it gets nasty. Public dungeons don't get as nasty because you're not queuing up. You know what I'm saying? It's different when it's just you and your group versus the world of what's in front of you, and because then you're thinking of it from a theme park perspective, right? And it's just different. That you get less of that in an open world or a public dungeon. That it's crazy, but like this raid mentality leaks down into dungeons, right? And that's when it gets really toxic. When it's, I'm not gonna lie, this is just the way it is. If you've raided a lot, you know what I'm saying. Raiding is a little toxic. It just is. It's by nature. I mean, it just is. I've led raids, and it wasn't toxic. We were nice to one another. But at the end of the day, decisions have to be made if you want to keep that static group together, and somebody just can't do it. Like, they just don't have it. Like, and you have to have a nice conversation with them and tell them, I'm sorry, but it's been several months. We're way behind, and for the rest of everybody, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to replace you. And
the unfortunate reality of that is there's always going to be hurt feelings when that happens.
Of course,
that's where
that hurts.
That's
hurts.
where you often get the confirmation bias issue of, well, this happened to me that one time.
Yeah.
Well, that's not confirmation bias. That's fact. That's how. You just said that's what happens.
And then you hate that mechanic of that game, or you don't like that style of MMO. Like, I can't stand action fighting for that reason. I like tab targeting. I like to be able to have my gear determine the damage, not my twitchiness.
Okay.
Sure. And what I'm getting at, though, by that is that then you get a bunch of people together, and that's when it turns into the confirmation bias of, back in the day of EverQuest 1, all raid guilds hate players without armor class X, and that's not actually what was going on. It was, well, no, you need these requirements to get into the raid zone. And it sounds to me like the gear score is a similar conversation. I'm not intimately familiar with it because I haven't dealt with gear score.
Yeah, it was before before item levels were officially in the game. You know what I mean? And if I
never minded them.
If I remember correctly, at first the players were figuring it out themselves, and before Blizzard even admitted such a thing existed, right? Am I remembering correctly?
I don't know, but I never minded them because it let me know if I was ready for a zone or not. It wasn't something I thought was overly intrusive, especially since you could go in anyway. Like Madura said, you just go there without queuing up.
Yeah, and Click in chat just made Elliot in chat just made a really good point, because that is true. I mean, it is what it is. It's not nice, but sometimes life isn't. When you want to raid in an MMO, you just got to put on your big boy pants, and it is true.
I can agree with that.
You got to know that, like, you may not be good enough for this particular raid group, right? Like, you may not be on their level, etc. Like,
but that's a broken game design, I say, because it's relying on twitchiness. It's relying on rotation of your abilities. I like the game to be based on my gear. It's like TNT. It's your level and your gear that determines the outcome, and your RNG that determines the outcome of the win.
Although I agree what you're saying, no, hang on, no. I'm talking about reactionary to situational things, right? So, like, Pantheon's huge on this, where you got a ton of abilities, right? But when and how you use those, depending on the situation, is going to determine how good that fight goes, right?
Yes, but you can tab to the target. You can use your ability strategically, and it'll work or not based on RNG, not on your twitchiness. But that's what my argument is.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying, but what I think I'm just arguing something different. Like, some people can't, in the moment, they get too panicky or anxiety, and they can't focus, and they can't do the thing they have to do during certain moments of the fight.
I've always looked at it like this.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right.
They can't get out of the fire. I've always looked at it this way, using a real life example. There are people who climb mountains professionally, and they will make it to the top of Everest, and they're going to be in the top 1% of people who climb mountains.
And everybody wants to be that guy.
And everybody wants to be that guy, but not everyone wants to put in the time and the effort and the skill and has the resources to make it to that point.
Sure.
And it's not fair to have the entirety of mountain climbing be reduced to everyone has access to it.
So raiding is niche.
It is.
It is. It's the 5% or less.
Right.
And it has,
so should we really have the game developers put that much time into a 5%?
That's what I've always argued. That's what I've always argued.
I think we're arguing two different things, but okay.
Yeah, I think we're arguing lots of things at the same time.
Maybe even more, I think there's multiple points.
We're all over the place. We're a bunch of crazies.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, raiding is it's not for everybody. And also, to Renfel's point, I've never wanted to be the world server first or anything.
Doing rock climbing at a gym, you know?
Yeah.
I know I'm a casual.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm content with finishing that raid content within that cycle of content anytime in there. If we do it the last day and we clear it the last day before they release new content, we did it. We win.
Yeah, because I would never go out there and make these, you know, rant about how it's so unfair that those guys who climb Everest, you know, I shouldn't have to go get that oxygen gear, and I shouldn't have to go get those special camping tents and the special backpacks and the things that let me survive at those frigid temperatures. Like, it's not fair that I should have to do that. I should be able to have access to it because I like to climb. Well,
it does depend on the
put in the time,
100%.
Get the money. You'll eventually get to that point.
Yeah, and what should happen is people get in a situation that they don't like, and so they realize that's not the group for them, and they go try to seek another group, right? That is more attuned for what they do, because they got tons of people in chat right now talking about, like, dude, we helped each other in our guild with raiding, like, we weren't jerks, you know, like, that is true, and, I mean, like I said before, that was true for me, too, but
99% of my experiences have been positive with everybody.
I think,
as a matter of fact, Vowelus has a comment in chat that I wanted to throw out here because I've never seen this happen. He says, what about the people who want to get the gear but no one will take them because they don't have the gear? And I would say, well, that's because they're not looking hard enough to find a guild that fits their play style. Because you will always be able to find a guild. And I'm not saying this for you in particular, Vowelus. I'm using this as a blanket example. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of guilds recruiting across any given MMORPG, depending on the game and the population. And there's casual roleplay guilds that do Tuesdays, Thursdays. There's other guilds that do Mondays and Fridays. There's guilds that do. You'll always find a guild that's right for where you're at in the progression. Always.
Or make one.
Right.
Somebody has to make those guilds. Don't forget that part.
Yes. There might not be one that fits your niche, so you have to do it with your 5 friends.
Yep. I think what most people are afraid of, right, is that will happen. Something toxic like that will happen to somebody, and that's their impression of the game, and they leave. That's what we're afraid of, right?
Big boy pants.
People are finicky.
No, I just don't want to put in something that encourages that kind of negative behavior. That's my perspective.
But how do you make challenging content without it being competitive?
Thank you, Chris.
That's the problem that developers face.
Well, I want challenging to be based on my level, my gear, my hit points, my armor class, my abilities that I've worked on, maybe even dailies, and got them up to a certain level, maybe got the better gear in the heroic dungeons. That's what I wanted to based on, not on twitchiness.
Hang on a second, I'll be right back.
I think that's the style of game that we play. That's kind of our viewpoint, is we don't like to play twitchy games.
Yeah. But I like to have reactionaries, which is a little bit twitchy, right? A little bit.
To a degree, yeah.
But when it's slower, when it's not as fast-paced, it doesn't feel twitchy, or at least not to me. It might to some people, though.
Strategic is different than reaction.
Strategic is what I like.
Strategic is good, right? I don't want it to be twitchy where I have half a second to have to react.
Right.
I want to have enough time to logically think, this is the ability that needs to be applied to this reaction. That's fine.
Right. But what about mechanics like, hey, at this point, that's usually how it works in a raid. Like, you have 5 seconds and we got to run to this hole or because they're going to dive bomb, you know?
Yeah, those are scripted mechanics.
Right.
Like, and I
do like those. That's why I like raiding.
And I
learning those. And you learn them and you master them. It's like a dance, you know?
I know. I just find them so annoying and just fakely challenging.
But that's raid content, though.
How are they fakely challenging? Because if we're
in
D&D,
D&D, you don't do that, and I base my game on that style. Like, when we're doing D&D adventures, we don't have 5 seconds to move to this thing and then jump over here and then go on left leg. No, it's based on your gear and abilities.
But there's no rating in D&D.
Hang on, but that's not entirely true, though, because there are turn-based
Yes, it's turn-based. I'm not going to be destroyed because I'm not twitchy. It's turn-based.
All right, I see your argument.
Yeah, I agree with what Benny's saying. I'm just arguing the other side. Like, how do you make content that continues to challenge people without doing the same things?
Well, if that's only 5%, then that's only 5%.
It's more than 5% that
rest of
play
people
it.
don't
It's
play
5% that clear it, and
Correct.
it's usually a
Or
little
rate it.
higher. It's usually
So
more like
the-
14%, but
I can say from a developer's perspective, what Bounty is asking for has been done with EverQuest, and the reason that companies moved away from it is because the only way to provide that type of, and I'm not singling you out, Bounty, I'm using this as a point of reference. In order to provide that player with that type of experience where it's just based on, you know, the right thing at the right time without having to be twitchy, the only way to do that, or the only way that's been done to date, is to just add more hit points to the mob, add a higher resist to the mob, and etc. Because if you're not allowed to have reactionary mechanics, i.e. the go click this thing, you have 10 seconds to do it. If you strip that out, the only thing that raiding is tank and spank. Because every other mechanic that's ever existed, whether it's an AoE call out, a frontal AoE, the mob's resistant to this damage for X amount of time, those are all reactionary abilities, and I haven't seen anything since the days of EverQuest where we don't have scripted encounters, if that makes sense.
I agree with you, and that's probably why I like EverQuest.
Well, and we spend most of our time doing this kind of content right now, where we're going in, talking, and killing things, and not having to jump on our left leg, right leg, run this whole and we're enjoying it just fine.
Right.
I think you can do tougher mobs with more of the hit points, and it takes a full group, and still have a good time. I don't think you need to have over mechanic.
It's not more challenging.
But hang on, we're forgetting something that happens over time, right? So I'm sitting here and I'm contemplating, because that actually is I agree with Bounty, but I do also like to raid also, right? And I like it to be hard as crap, and we have to learn it. We get our butts raffle stomped until we figure it out, right? I love that, because when you finally do it and everybody's working together perfectly, and you just learn it. It's not Twitch anymore. It's, you know what to do. You know what I mean? But I just was sitting here thinking about it, because I was thinking, like, he is right, though. In some games, I don't want to deal with. There's certain games where I'm like, I don't want to deal with all that in this game. And I realize that what people do, and it seems like, is they don't do it when it's in season. So they'll come back and do those raids after their gear score, etc., can get high enough that they can just go do that content regularly. They can skip the mechanics at that point.
They have skipped the mechanics,
right?
Therefore, they have removed the challenge from that equation.
Right.
Because once you've removed the challenge, the only thing that's there, it's to mob with
tank and spank, DPS. It's all about your gear score then. So it still exists even in the games that have that. But for people that want a really ridiculous challenge of teamwork and to work your guild to the max, like where everybody's gonna be, that's when you do the scripted stuff, in my opinion. And I don't see any other way you can hold. Because here's the deal: 5 to 15% may clear that content, but 50 to 60 to 70% try it and want to clear it and have fun trying to.
Right.
So,
but where this conversation started was the fact that people wanting to try it but can't pull it off right away are told, no, that content is not available to you. You're not welcome because you're not good enough. And that's where this started.
Yeah.
Was that it's not only making it more challenging, it's also making it more inaccessible to people.
That's what challenge does.
A huge amount of people. If you're saying 5 to 14% or whatever, that's a lot of people that are paying for that content
because it's hard. Yeah, because it's hard.
And I would say overly hard. I would say it's overly challenging if only that small of a percent of people can enjoy it, because they're not welcome.
Anybody can enjoy it, but only a small percentage are going to be
not if they're told they can't come.
If they're told they can't come, they can't, right? But if you're losing, you're still having fun. I mean, you know, like...
Hang on, though. It's only that you can't... If you can't do it when it's on level, it's not that you're being told that you can't ever do it. You can come back when it's no longer challenging and still do the content.
Yeah.
It's the can you do it on level with the mechanics as they were intended to be done when it's fresh.
Right.
Most
That's
people
the
can't.
challenge factor.
Most people
Correct.
can't.
And I
People
think
can't.
that's great. That's great. It's having that challenge, that mountain for people to climb, that thing that people can look to achieve. Otherwise, there's nothing there to do other than just, oh, more quest grinds, yay.
Yeah, but see, you make it sound like then it's not challenging. There's a difference between Mount Everest and putting my my treadmill up to 3 degrees incline and still having a good walk on it.
Right.
I want a little bit of challenge. I want that group requirement, but I don't want this thing to be punching me in the face because we're not doing a twitchy mechanic right.
Your oxygen mask on at the same time.
Yeah, on the treadmill.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, yeah, there's...
I just
And that's on the developer to do it right. They need to balance it. They need to figure out what's enough of an incline, but not frickin' Mount Everest.
But if everybody can do it, then it's not as interesting to see people who pulled it off, right?
Sure.
And it's,
To a small
and it's no longer a challenge at that point. If everyone could climb Everest, it wouldn't be an accomplishment. It wouldn't be the pinnacle if it wasn't so hard that only 1% can
Build
That's the way I
one
look at it.
Everest in the game, not 25, and only have Mount Everest.
You're wrong. You're not wrong. So
You're not wrong. Yeah, that's a really
EverQuest
good point.
2 EverQuest 2 did a great job of raids that started at level 20 all the way up to max level. And they had 2-man content, 3-man content, 2-group content, 3-group content, and 4-group content. So that you could have the small group challenge, the multi-group challenge, and the full raid challenge across all aspects.
Yeah, that is true, Click.
leveling
That's what's
not
got
just at
me.
the
I
cap.
do like raid
And
content.
I think that sounds to me like what you're
I
arguing.
like getting
what you're
my butt
arguing
kicked.
for, Bounty,
I
is
like being told I
accessibility
gotta get
across
better.
All tiers of gameplay.
I
with
want to get better,
multiple
you know?
tiers of difficulty, so that there's not just one tier
Sure.
at the
Yes.
end.
Yep.
So the
Amen.
EverQuest 2 situation worked very, very well.
You know, that's the solution right there. The real problem is there's not enough variety. It's
Correct.
It's Twitch. Well, I don't like saying twitchy, but I guess it is. There's the heavily mechanic-based raids that are really difficult to do as a team, where everybody's on the same page and does everything correctly. And if one person screws up, you all wipe, and that's it. That is the end game content these days. And the problem is there needs to be more. There needs to be multiple tiers.
Variety.
Now, I think World of Warcraft. I have not raid in retail, but isn't that what they tried to do with normal?
Yes. Yes.
Whatever.
Heroics, mythicals, etc.
Well, how did
Well,
that go?
you have raid finder difficulty, you
Right.
have normal difficulty, heroic
Right.
difficulty, and mythic difficulty.
Right.
So there's 4 difficulty levels.
So the raid finder's the easiest because it's just random pug groups, right? Am I right?
Yep. Yeah. And the bosses have next to no mechanics. They have a few.
Thank
but
you,
there's hardly
Ziplocs.
any.
Get good,
It's
noob.
very easy to get through for a normal person, I would say.
Thanks, Ziplocs. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for this.
I
No,
could be
they-
down for that. That
Yeah.
makes more sense
I
to me.
actually like that. And when
Yeah.
it was actually Cataclysm and Wrath, I think, era that started to implement that levels of incline you can choose.
Thank you,
And I had a lot of
Ziplocs.
fun running
Yeah,
dungeons.
okay.
Yeah,
with
it's
groups.
when they released right before Ice Crown. It was Trial of the Crusader is when they started implementing that.
Yeah, I think my concern was at first I was taking it like, don't put that in my game. The real problem is that you can have that in the game. You got to.
Accessibility.
That's why I will fight for it, because if you don't have that kind of content in the game,
There's no mountain to climb.
people will, oh my gosh, they will complain. They will be like, there's nothing to do at end game. Like, it's too easy. I thought this game was supposed to be difficult, blah, blah, blah. But if you have multiple challenges, as long as you also have that, you need at least one mountain.
Sure.
Yeah, but you don't, like you
can
said,
agree
you
with
don't need 25.
Right.
Well, you do
At the
need
same
25,
time.
but you need 25 different sized mountains.
Yes, thank you. You only need one that is 5%.
Well, if you put in 25 Mount Everest, put in 25 normal mountains, put in 25 medium mountains.
Sure.
If you have the resources to do that. But
And
focus-
then people can feel better, all right? They can be
Yes.
like, hey, I may not be good enough for that mountain, but I can go back and do these other mountains until I am good enough to do that
Yeah,
one.
you have rating content you can actually do.
I
Yeah.
enjoy running, but 2-3 miles. I don't like running the marathon. I hate, I would never want to do that.
Yeah.
But I like running.
Now I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. Because I'm starting to think of it from a developer point of view. And now I'm thinking 15 years from now. Right? 15 years from now, several expansion packs later, the big mountain is way bigger than it was originally because you've had to increase the difficulty to keep players interested. So that mountain's really big. Now, how many small mountains do I need to make by the 6th expansion for a brand new player to still feel that way?
And should I even waste the developer time to make content for the new player when there's only less than 1% of the player base is a new player?
Yeah, but if they're a new player, all that stuff down there you already made is already accessible.
The previous expansions they can go through.
Correct. But will
anybody else be doing it anymore?
Exactly. Is there anybody else still doing it? Because by that point, all of that content is irrelevant, which is why in the cash shops we're offered boosts, we're offered XP pods, we're offered ways to get past all of that stuff because no one wants to do it when they've already done it 50 times before.
How many alts do we have? That's not true. We have so many alts and gone through games several times on several different characters.
Some have, but a lot of people don't. And I don't want to name any names, but someone may or may not have purchased a boost recently because they wanted to be ready and have it there and not necessarily go back and do the grind again. We have multiple people who have done that. Right now.
In my community,
if it's there, you're gonna buy it. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, not everyone wants to go do it again with another alt, and that's the situation when you have thousands of players and you're 4 expansions deep and you've got 50 new people coming into the game this month.
And there's
where are those 50 people going to get the groups?
And there's another problem, at least in MMOs today, right, where, okay, let's say you have rating content at level 50, okay? But then the level cap gets raised to 60. Nobody's going to be doing the 50 raid because when they're done with 50, they're immediately leveling up to 51. So the 50 level raid content, it dies.
Trivial, though.
Yeah. It dies because nobody even has time. They're not worried about... They don't care about that gear. They're going to get better gear by the time they're level 55 than they would from that raid. You see what I'm saying?
And developers can put more interesting things into lower level zones like Pantheon is doing. You are coming back to the zone even when you're max level because there's other content in it and it's just always growing. There's other people there.
WoW does that.
Yeah.
Called time walking.
Yeah.
You do old dungeons, but you get relevant gear because they like buff the bosses.
So there's solutions.
But they also, there's a newer thing they're doing too. I forget what the heck they're calling it now. It's in addition to time walking.
But that's kind of the opposite of what I'm talking about. That wouldn't be for somebody leveling up, per se. That would be for somebody who wants to be really high and they want to challenge and they want to do old content. That doesn't help a new player. You see what I'm saying?
It doesn't. Nope.
So that's where old raid content becomes either trivial or done just for fun because you can kick it, you can beat it so easy now. You know what I mean?
If it's fun, then you did it right. Then people want to come back and do it even with lower characters.
Sure, but that's not really what happens in modern MMOs.
Fun is subjective.
That
would not be fun for me.
Like when we did that, and I think Final Fantasy 14 has a decent...
I feel like that's all we do. Our groups play classic MMOs and go through and do stuff we've done 100 times.
But we go with friends, yeah.
There's different, and we've talked about this before because the reason we're doing it is for the community component, not for the gameplay itself. And in some cases, for example, World of Warcraft, I've never played this game before, so for me, World of Warcraft is brand new. EverQuest 2, I play that because we have a gaming community that has people who like to do that. So I do it for the community's perspective. Same thing with EverQuest 1. And I've been very vocal about this in my individual streams. If it weren't for the people that I play these games with, you guys and my gaming community, I would not be playing EverQuest 1 and EverQuest 2. If I was a solo player, I would go with my wife and I would go, let's try New World, let's try Lost World, let's try
How do you take those off
new games, and let's find one that we like. I love Lord of the Rings Online as an example, and I've still seen things in that game I've never seen before.
Right. So you do have games that you come back. You have Star Wars, The Old Republic,
but because it's content I've never seen before. I'm playing the content I've never seen. I don't go back and...
You said the keyword solo. See, I like P99 because you have to have a group, and I like to play in a group, and I love that we have a static group.
Correct. And that's what I'm getting at. I enjoy the social aspect of the game, not the game itself per se. Because I've already done Cunard, you know, a bunch of times.
All right.
I've already done Velius a bunch of times. I've rated that stuff when it was at cap, so it's not as entertaining to me now as it was then. I still get enjoyment out of it because I'm enjoying it alongside friends, but that's a different, at least from my perspective, my argument is the game content is not what interests me. It's the community component, the friends I'm playing it with who are doing that together, and therefore I'm having fun in the game doing it with my friends. Not because the game itself is providing me with all of the fun, because I get most of the fun from hanging out with my friends.
And that's the point of an MMO that we've lost in the last 20 years. Exactly everything you said, Ren.
Yep.
I have fun playing Lord of the Rings Online, Star Wars Republic, World of Warcraft, and I'm playing those with other people. I don't think we've lost that.
No.
I think that's an argument that a lot of people have, but I don't feel like we've lost that.
As in, solo is different. If you're having solo fun, you might as well play Elden Ring. That's a solo graded game. You know, 10 million people love it. But that's a solo game. I like group games that are require the group, like P90.
And I'll say something else too, because to experience what the regular person is talking about when they're complaining about that, what you have to do is not stream, make a name so nobody knows who you are.
Yep.
And go in by yourself. Don't go to a forum. Don't do the Reddit thing, or not Reddit. Don't go to the forums. Don't go anywhere. Don't get on Discord. Just log into the game and start playing, and you'll see what people are talking about. Everybody ignores
that's
you.
Bounty Code and I up until 6 months ago.
Right, and it's a totally different world. And I forgot that. I've been streaming publicly, playing games, etc. for so long that I forgot until I had to do it, right? And then I was like, "Oh, this sucks. This is what everybody's complaining about." Because I would like Maduros to talk, because I know he and I have had some really good conversations about this. Because he actually is on the pro side of the matchmakers, because he doesn't stream, and he's I believe, like you said, Maduros, like you found your raid guild by just joining the matchmaking system and.
Yeah, sure. Last guild I raided with in World of Warcraft, I actually found through the Dungeon Finder tool. Yep.
And then you were talking about last night was a group you did where it was was it a bunch of randoms or just one or two randoms?
They were all randoms. Yeah, I inadvertently started doing the prerequisites to unlock Ogre Law, the Ogre dailies, and you have to kill these big Cyclops guys, and it takes a full group of 5. Like at level 70 to do. And I started out, the first quest you get is actually like a level 68. You have to kill a bunch of elites, and then somebody was talking in general that they were looking for help, so I started helping them. And as we were completing that, we came to the realization that all of the next steps were like, it said group 5. And we tried the first guy on our own, and it was like, no, we need more people. So we started asking around, and we got 3 more randoms to join us. And I didn't have a flying mount. So it's in Blades Edge Mountain, where you have to go up the mountain or down the mountain. So they were having to wait on me to get around the zone to get to each of these kills, including one that you have to have a flying mount to, where one of the random guys that we picked up logged in his warlock to summon me up there so I could get up there to complete it. And then we finished it as a group. Completely random people.
Yeah, but on general, you said is how that started, right?
Yeah, looking for group.
Looking for group. Yeah, looking for group tools are great because they're server based.
Yeah, we use the looking for group tool for the...
Yeah, I think everybody's fairly down with looking for group. That's an awesome tool. But, like, I thought you said looking for dungeon. Like, I was about to say, then that's some random luck, you know?
But no, the last raiding guild that I was part of in WoW was I found through.
Yeah, we had fun.
Looking
we
for
had fun
dungeon
arguing
gold.
with each other. Click. We're not. we do this every
Which just
time.
goes in my mind to prove
You know,
that
because you're usually here.
there is hope. You can still find good groups. There are still social people, even if you're using the matchmaking system.
Sure.
Even though some people have had negative experiences with it, other people have had positive experiences with it, which is why I'm very much against throwing out the baby with the bathwater kind of scenario.
Well, I think most people are okay with looking for group. I think most people hate looking for dungeon with any server in the game.
I don't mind it.
You say that, dude. I'm telling you, dude.
For Star Wars The Republic, I've enjoyed it from Star Wars The Republic because I get to play the content that I want to play when I want to play it. Now, I will say, but this is on me. This is on me, not on the game. I have never wanted to find a guild in Star Wars The Republic because I play that game with my brother and we play it on a casual basis. So we're fine with doing solo content most of the time and using the dungeon finder to go do the flashpoints. And we're okay with not looking for a guild. If I wanted to find a guild, it would be very easy for me to get in the dungeon finder, find a good group of people, run a good group of those people, and if they have a guild tag, simply send them a tell. Hey, are you guys recruiting? I had a lot of fun with you guys.
Good luck them even being on your server.
There is that possibility.
It's a huge possibility. It's way less likely they'll even be from your server. But that's the problem with dungeon finders. It's not.
Not all dungeon finders. Not all dungeon finders are cross servers.
Right, and I don't have a problem when it's not.
Right.
I don't have a problem with it when it's not. My problem is they almost everybody turns into that, right? And we saw the server community die in multiple MMOs I've played as soon as it went. First it was Dungeon Finder, and it was okay. It was still better with the looking for group, right? But it was quicker. You got dungeons quicker, so for the general, everybody's pretty content. But then it always switches because there's gonna be servers where they're like, but all right, we can't. I'm waiting 7 hours because there's not enough people on my,
But that's
server.
not a dungeon finder issue. That's a server population issue.
Well,
and if
that's
games
true.
did multi-servers like Elder Scrolls Online does, one mega server, you wouldn't have that issue.
But then you got phasing.
Right, but the point I'm getting at is that everyone always wants to make the arguments that the dungeon finder is the problem, and it's very rarely actually the dungeon finder.
Okay.
It's population cybers. There's
too many. Yeah, see all these pain points. It's never one argument.
This
There's always
is
all
the
these
argument.
It's because they're linked,
Yeah, they're all linked.
This is the developer nightmare. This is
why.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Actually, when I do these arguments, I'm trying to point out how hard it is for the developer to make people happy. That's my whole point of bringing up like all the random. Like, just think about how difficult it is to make the general populace happy, because there's issues with no matter which direction you go. You're screwed no matter what decision you decide to make. There is no perfect way to make an MMO, and that's the point I'm making. Like, the mega server, I love mega servers, think it's awesome, but then you got phasing, right?
But you love Guild Wars too.
No, I hate Guild Wars too. That's because of classes.
What's wrong with phasing? I haven't heard that argument.
Phasing is just annoying for one thing because, for example, you're with your friends, you log in together, you're in a group, you're in different phases. So then you got to fix that. Then there's the problem of people cheating the system using phasing to mob steal and etc. or PvP. You definitely don't want phasing. That's a big disaster. And it's lame because now you're not in an open world anymore. Now you're in multiple open worlds. So what's the difference? Why not just have servers that you can hop between like 14 does? You know what I'm saying?
That was interesting.
What's the
The
difference?
way 14 did that was interesting because you had perks for being on your own server, but you could go guest on others.
Yeah.
And I thought that was actually...
Yeah, what's the difference?
I didn't stay on there long enough to see the positive and negative, back and forth, but it was interesting.
Yeah, it is pretty good. And that was their solution to the problem of matchmaking, Dungeon Finder, right? Was because people are saying, well, now we're not a community anymore, and people are starting to act like buttholes because they know we're not on their server and they never see us again. So they're like, okay, well, how about if you could go to other servers? Now you can join a guild on any server. You know what I'm saying? So anybody you meet in a dungeon, now you can technically They can be your friends. You can go guest on their server and play. You can just stay there if you want to, you know? And to me, but because you can only do that at certain points, you can't just switch servers wherever you're standing. You know what I mean? You have to go to a specific place where the crystal is and pick to go to it and what server you want to go to. Because you got to make that conscious decision, it feels better than phasing, where it's just kind of annoying. You know, phasing, I just feel like it's annoying.
So, I mean, looking at this from the developer standpoint, the reason they add phasing is because there's no way to realistically have a server that's big enough to handle the computing power of thousands of players in one place.
Sure.
So you're either going to be faced with a multi-server situation or a phasing situation.
Right.
From most developers' standpoint, the phasing solution is the less of the two evils because you can keep everybody in the same
Thank you,
server in the
Crinkle!
same
Nathan hates the
community,
multi-phasing version.
while still allowing people to have individual space and not create a clusterfuck situation for a city or a server load.
I can't see you for some reason. It's not.
Oh.
There we go.
And I agree. We start arguing the lesser of two evils kind of arguments, and I have to agree with you, Ren.
Well, it's
not,
also
and it's not perfect solutions. It's the best solution.
I think
the
so too.
enemy of a good solution.
Especially when a game first launches. I think phasing is almost mandatory so that people can play the game.
But I would also say that there's nothing, from my perspective, there's nothing wrong with phasing for certain aspects, such as, because I can't stand this personally, if there is a ground spawn item and I'm being forced to compete with 50 other people for that item, I'm a big fan of that item being phased so that everyone gets their own version of it, so that we can all get it and go on about our business.
Alright, Sarah.
And same thing with mobs.
Hey, what's up?
I like
what's
the way
up,
Elder Scrolls Online and
hold on, I can evac us. So sorry, I can evac us to hand in.
Okay.
Correct. I'm also a big fan of the way they do it with ESO and WoW Retail, where everyone who tags the mob gets credit, because then you've eliminated the kill stealing, you've eliminated the rare resource that someone just ninja'd from me, you've eliminated those components from the equation, while still allowing there to be a massively multiplayer component to the game where people can be together and go do the content together and have the friendships without having it be this person ninja'd me, so on and so forth. And that's the beauty of phasing. However, the flip side of phasing that a lot of people argue against is the I can't click on this guy for some reason, is the instanced dungeons. A lot of people don't like instanced dungeons for various reasons. I'm not one of those people, but that's part of the phasing solution, is to also provide, to release the pressure of those pain points for people, especially from a server load perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And I've never been against phasing. Sometimes I just make an argument just to point out, like, the opposing people, right? And just see what the arguing is. I think phasing is only nasty when it's just, some games just overdo it, and it's just like, dude, this ain't even necessary. Like, they'll use it because their server sucks, and it's like, how about you just have a better networking situation here, because we played a bunch of games that were dead, but yet we didn't, like EverQuest 2, you pick which one, right? But like, it would just throw you in a phase, and there'd be like 4 other people there, and then you would go to your friend would be like, I'm standing here, and you're like, oh crap, we're in different phases. Get back together, get in the same phase, and then there's like 3 people in his phase. It's like, why are there even multiple phases of this,
Right, and that's where the TLPEQ pick system is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's only there if there's enough people.
Yeah,
if there's 50
an
people.
instant spawn,
Yeah, that's like, wow, like, talk about a really good
They do that in
solution.
EverQuest 2 as well, but you can't pick around as easily as you can in EverQuest 1. You actually have to go to like the bell or the entry of the zone. You can't just pick over randomly. But I can also speak to this because I remember when picks were first introduced in EverQuest 1, the downside, which Nathan mentioned earlier, was that people could pick over to the next instance, or the next phase, if you would, of that zone, and immediately spawn in the same place as where they picked from, which means I could go to a named camp.
They
did fix it to where now you go to the entry, which keeps people from doing that.
Or
that
the evac. It's an evac spot, kind of like a...
Correct,
yeah.
and those are the pressure points of the early system, where they were getting those birthing pains out of the way.
Right, they made
I would definitely say that the way EverQuest 1 and EverQuest 2 have done it is a step in the right direction, because you're providing open world versions, but if there's too many people, you spawn another instance or another phase of it, and I don't think that that's a bad thing.
Without needing another server.
But you also need good developer design, because, man, it's so aggravating. When you're in a group and you both zone in, you should be in the same freaking phase.
Yes,
like,
I agree.
It doesn't work perfectly in EverQuest either, because we do a lot of TLP on the weekends, and I'd say about 90% of the time it works. There's a 10% chance that you're gonna get stuck in a random instance that's not your groups, and that kind of sucks. But it's literally a 5-minute timer. You go take a poop and come back, and you're good to go.
So it's like a wizard evac, 10% chance of being left behind.
Or the sucker.
Yeah, and I think over time you get, and I know I'm talking about Renfell and Sparrow. You get that streamer brain going, and dude, that 5 minutes sucks, because you're like, well, crap, nobody's gonna watch my freaking stream for 5 minutes of me just sitting here trying to get into the group that I've already joined, but we're phased differently. It's just stuff like that irks you times 100, because then you're like, you're letting your community down at that point, right?
Yeah, that's an engineering issue.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's not a phasing issue. That's the design. If you're going to do phasing, do it right. Yeah, when you're in a group, obviously you want to play together, so you need to be in the same phase,
So, Ren, do we have a hand in here? Because it says all completed. I'm not sure where we're supposed to...
We have the courier quest, the courier.
I have the Rajan's Outpost deeper in. It all says completed.
Yeah, I have a bunch to completed, but I don't see turn-ins either.
I don't have any completions.
Nature Dolvari. Is that what you're talking about?
The Rajan Outpost deeper in is the one that says the courier completed, 5 brothers completed.
No, they're not green. They don't have green marks next to them.
Why does it say completed?
It's
some of the objectives.
I
got it.
The grammar.
The grammar.
Yes, it's the grammar, because it's saying complete this objective. It needs a green dot next to it.
And then yes or no, right? True or false. It's false.
Gotcha.
That is confusing, though. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, why can't I turn these in then? If there's so many.
And actually, if you look at on your quest tracker, for example, the nature of the Ulvari has 4 different things that it wants of us, and we've only completed 1, which is the Ulvari.
I know he was working on it. I'll check.
We still haven't done the Jinka Forest or the Legend of Lord Sang or the Jinka Wardens, because we're not high enough level to do those quests yet. So yeah, we're working on the.
Why can't I fly here?
This will be the crypt. This is the courier section.
Yeah, Crinkle brought up a good point.
In the same place, if I'm not mistaken. And
Crinkle
5 brothers.
I want to bring up something Crinkle said, because this is true, and actually, I'm not gonna lie, I was begging people to help me do this one time. So don't say I'm saying I haven't, that I'm innocent in this. But he says picks are abused. Guilds push numbers to get a fresh instance for named mobs.
Yes.
So there is problems with anything. That's the point of our debates. I think that is the general takeaway. There's no perfect solution. There's going to be a problem no matter what design decision you decide.
Also, why is that abuse? If my guild has the numbers to spawn our own private instance of something, why shouldn't we be allowed to? That's the benefit of having a big guild. If you want to be able to do the same, get more friends. I don't see that as being an abuse, so to speak. Although it is, from some people's perspective, it's an unfair advantage. But I think you could say the same thing of anybody who has a large group of friends as well. It's easier for them to get a group. It's easier for them to do quests. It's easier for them to get their epics. Well,
and you know what? I have to agree with that. And now I'm not arguing from anybody. I'm arguing from my perspective. This is something that's irked me for many, many years with MMOs. Is that we have this general conception that everything needs to be 100% fair. I don't think so. If, for example, I think it should be perfectly okay for an MMO to put a super, super rare drop in a game that is uber as hell, and I mean like it's a chess piece that changes that super hard raid content into, for that one player, easy as pie. But they got the RNG, super rare spawn. I don't care how they got it. They camped it for freaking months, whatever, and they finally got it. They deserve to be crazy above the crowd, and that makes people look at them, that item, and it's legendary. You know what I mean? And I don't see the problem with that.
That's why I am always in favor of that top tier raid structure because
Yeah.
there needs to be the Mount Everest for people to climb.
Yeah.
And the people who put in the time and the effort to get to that point and who can complete the challenge of doing that together with a group and
Yep.
you know, all the factors that come together in that, they should be rewarded for that.
And they
It
used to
shouldn't be
do
for
stuff
everyone.
like that. There was that one sword in EverQuest. It was just stupid OP. But it was also rare as hell. It's the one, the sort of...
1,000 Truths. The one from
Yeah, that's from
South Park.
South Park. I love that. But there was a sword. They put it in WoW. They changed the spelling a bit. Obviously not with the stats it had in EverQuest, but but that got patched out, you know. And it's just like, why not though? As long as it's super rare, you know what I mean. And it's not common enough to where you can just make it a requirement. You know what I mean? Like you can't just be like, okay, if you want to raid with us, you got to get this item. Like no, it's too rare. Like hardly anybody will have it. You know what I mean? I just don't see the issue with that. And I think we need that. I think that makes your MMO really cool, you know? To just be in the world where you know it's possible that you might get something. You might be that lucky guy, right? You won't be. But just knowing that you might be, you know?
You're describing the lottery. Everybody wants to play the lottery.
Yes.
Very few will win it.
Yes.
But you like to play it.
But
'cause
it's
there's
fun.
so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, you're saying there's a chance, right? Like the, that's one of my favorite lines from Dumb and Dumber.
1 in a million.
He's like,
So what a million, Tom.
I don't see the issue.
Right.
That's more fun of using the lottery brain, the lottery section of our brain, than loot boxes.
Very addictive. Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to answer this earlier. Crinkle said in my chat, he says, I like group games that also have a lot of solo content. So I think the video went out while we were playing. I think at 9 I had it to go up, but I did a video on the 5 things I love about World of Warcraft Classic because I'm having a hell of a good time here. And one of the things that I talked about was, this goes back to talking about earlier, I was saying I love Star Wars Republic, Lord of the Rings Online, because I can go in there and just do things on my own. I do love the group component, and that's something that I talk about in this game, is that one of the things I love is the fact that there is so much to do.
Yes, Click. That's what I'm
that
talking
I can
about.
log on, find something to do, until the time when I have group mates. And then there's also that to do. And oh, by the way, there's also raid content. And oh, by the way, there's also achievements. And oh, by the way, there's also fishing. And oh, by the way, there's also cooking. And oh, by the way, there's also this, and this.
Yes.
That's
But
one
is
of the
there
reasons,
this?
That's one of the reasons I am 100% against games that try to do the forced grouping for everything. Where it's like, no, you gotta have a group. It's group-based gameplay. It's great to have group-based gameplay that enhances the world, but there should also be plenty of things for someone to do, solo content, to be able to go out and enjoy themselves. If they just want to log on for a couple hours of coffee, or they're waiting for their friends because they can only play on Friday nights, this game does that exceptionally well because there is a ton of content to do.
I agree. But I want to ask, what games do group-based only? Because I can't think of a single one ever. Not ever, but today. I can't think of one.
I'm saying that's one of the reasons I go back to the fallacy of, I've heard arguments made for certain games that are in development. People want group,
they want it. Oh, okay.
They want it,
Group.
but
Needs
that's
to
not
be
what the
group.
game's doing.
Hang on, let me finish. I understand that's not what the games are doing. But there are certain people who want that, and I think all anyone has to do is look at P99, and the fact that they never have more than 1,000 people playing their game. That's the proof positive that that type of gameplay isn't relevant in the world we live in, because that's 100%. Yes, you can roll a Necro or a Druid, and you can solo a little bit in EverQuest 1, old school P99, but for the most part, that game is designed that you need a group to do everything past like level 4 or 5.
I like it.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with liking it. I'm saying though that to have a game that forces that on everybody would create a game where only 1,000 people would want to play it.
I agree, PhD. That was the beauty of Dark Age.
Maybe we all really think we want group game MMOs, but really everybody wants a solo. But that's why Elden Ring sold 20 million copies, because it's a solo game, and everybody loves the solo.
Well, I think there's something to be said for what they've done with Star Wars: Old Republic as an example, where it's a solo storyline game with optional group content. Because I think a lot of games do that, and they do fairly well for themselves, because they do give you that solo environment, but they also give you the chance to go do group stuff if you want to. But you're also not wrong in the sense that console games, Red Dead Redemption 2, Assassin's Creed games, that they all sell 15, 20 million copies. Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3. Those are solo experiences. There's a quest giver walking towards us, FYI.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
So I think you're right in the sense that so many people... Sorry, I'll shut up. I agree with Bounty in that a lot of people say they want group content.
Well, how can they prove?
they really?
But here's the deal. Crinkle just said it in chat. This is very true. They can't. We can't prove with numbers anything because nobody's done it. There is no example. Name a game. Name a game since Final Fantasy 11 that was group only.
I can't think of one.
There's not one.
Well, hang on. I'm failing.
There's not even one today. Besides EverQuest P99, but that's old.
So you have to play a 20-year-old game.
People who want group-based gameplay, they just want a new game. They're sick of playing for 20-plus years the same game. A lot of them.
He's saying that you can't prove with numbers, and that's not
No,
true.
that's not what he said. That's what I'm saying. You cannot prove with numbers because you don't have the data to do that. Tell me, where is it? Where is it? Where'd it come? What's the game? There isn't one.
You can look. Well, maybe we're talking about a different data set.
Group only combat, group only gameplay MMO. Go. Which one? You're gonna have to dig way back. You're gonna dig back 15, 20 years. There hasn't been one. Nobody's done it.
Yeah, I want to continue this conversation, but my lumber just arrived, so I have to AFK and help Chris get everything unloaded. So I'll be back.
So that's
I'm gonna put follow on Maduros.
But that's the argument. Is like we've not gotten a chance to prove how popular that would be. Now Pantheon's not doing that. There's gonna be options. You can. It's gonna be way slower. I'm not arguing that for Pantheon. I'm just saying we can't argue that doesn't work because there is no data for that.
You're absolutely right, Nathan, because every MMO puts in so much solo content.
Yes. So I'm not saying I even agree with it.
Content.
I don't think it would work. That's just me thinking. To me, like you're gonna have to say, sure, you can solo, just take way longer, blah blah blah. I think Pantheon's doing the right thing. I'm not arguing against it, but I'm not gonna agree that it doesn't work because we don't know if it does or not. We haven't done it.
Absolutely, we think in
yes,
theory.
It
on
feels
paper,
like it. Yeah,
it feels like it, right? But we can't point to 10 MMOs that are group only and see they fail.
Right.
You can't even, like you said, you can't even point to one MMO
Nope.
and say, look, it failed.
Nope. You can't because it didn't exist. Everybody started switching to that, even the old MMOs, because World of Warcraft hit numbers nobody had ever seen before.
Yep.
Therefore, but it's not like EverQuest wasn't doing good before. It was the king. You know, it was the king of MMOs until World of Warcraft knocked it off its throne. And that was the big argument. People, is it an EverQuest clone? That's what people used to say. And then it became WoW clone because they started hitting millions, So then everybody just assumed, well, I'm tired of getting 100, 200,000 players when I could get millions like World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
And that was it. We never looked back. No other company ever even tried to do that. So we don't have any data on that. We really don't know. We think
because everyone's afraid of niche. Everyone's afraid of that word niche, right? They want to be the big WoW clone that attracts way more players because it's a more varied fan base. You have everything in it.
Very true.
But there's no like solid group content now. Everything is just like EQ2 and Lord of the Rings Online. You can just do solo content. We have a hard time even finding group content to do.
Yeah.
That was so annoying.
Yeah.
You try to do quests, you try to do the dungeons, everything is so easy.
Yep. It's a problem. And it's like, and what ends up happening is the whole, even if it doesn't start this way, the development cycle begins naturally leaning towards solo because it's the easier path. So in my opinion, you can't make solo be just as simple and easy and fast as group play, right? Mainly what I'm talking about here is speed. Of leveling up or nobody will do the group because it takes more effort
Right.
to make a group. You know, you gotta socialize. You know, you gotta ask people. So everybody will just solo.
You shouldn't be penalized for grouping.
No. And people argue you shouldn't be penalized for soloing. Well, yeah, you should, because that takes less effort, right? All you got to do is just log on and go do something, right?
Play Elden Ring if you want to play by yourself.
Yeah, it takes more effort to get in a group, and you should be rewarded for that. And that means that soloing it isn't as good as grouping, and it shouldn't be, in my opinion.
Yeah, part of that, there's a circular argument. Like Bounty just said, if you want to play single player, go play Elden Ring. Well, I'll argue, if you want a hardcore death mechanic, go play Elden Ring or some solo game. Doesn't need to be in an MMO. I don't need to be punished when I die.
Sure.
And I think the challenge of group-based gameplay doesn't have to include a lot of elements that a lot of people talk, well, not a lot, but a few people talk about. I definitely think a lot of the stuff that we discuss were in games that were developed a while ago, but over time the developers developed it out of their game because it was a barrier of entry for a lot of people.
Okay.
You know, they wanted to be more popular. I mean, that's what led to stuff like Dungeon Finders.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And it does work because it is more accessible.
And as you're fixing one problem, a lot of times you do unintended consequences happen and you break something else that you never meant to, but you're still fixing that first problem and you have to fix it. And you're like, oh, we'll live with this side effect because we're fixing the original symptom.
Yeah, and then it's hard to go back because that was so convenient that now you can't take it away. So like
like flying mounts in Vanguard.
Yeah, like dude, people are gonna be mad when this game is.
Oh my gosh!
When this server's at launch and they take those away, dude, people are gonna be pissed.
Yeah. So I get it. You're solving one problem and introducing two others.
That's the situation I feel like retail WoW's in right now. Is like, how do you fix this mess now, right? Like, how do you go back to the good old days, right? Like, is it even possible? I don't know.
It might not be possible. That's the problem. That's why
to get the amount of numbers that you need to support an MMO, maybe it's not possible.
Yeah. Maybe you need to be the N-word, niche.
Yeah.
Niche.
But what investor is going to sit down in your pitch room and go, oh, you're making an MMO like WoW? No, we're thinking niche. We're thinking tens of thousands of people, not millions. Oh, yeah, no, I'm taking my checkbook back.
Yeah,
that's
very true.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe.
Well, that's also why you got so many indie people trying to do it. But again, building an MMO is huge. So with a small team, that's going to take longer than people are willing to wait.
Yeah.
Or be able to live. In my case.
For the neckbeards, yes.
Right.
My hands are getting arthritic already.
No, yeah. And by the way, guys, I'm not talking about classic WoW. I'm talking about retail. I try to always see retail, but I'm not sure if I always do. I think classic WoW right now is in a pretty good spot. It's convenient, but it's not so convenient that, like, I'll always want to get a group when I'm out. Even when I'm by myself, I'm trying to catch up with Sparrow last night, for example. I was in a group at least 25 to 30% of that time because other people are doing the quest. So we would group up and we'd do it together. I think it's a decent balance. It's too theme parky for me to say that, like, it's one of the best MMOs of all time. But for right now, today, and the next few months, oh, it's a blast, and I'm loving it.
It is addictive.
It is very
both
addictive.
Renfail and myself, I can say at least think it's like we want to be on all the time.
I do too. I do too now. It's hit me that way.
Yeah.
Everything now has become okay. But when do I get to play WoW Classic again?
That's a good sign.
That really is. And I haven't felt that way in a long time. Either.
Right, and when you've been starving for 20 years and someone offers you a cracker, you're like, this is the best cracker I've had in a long time.
Very true. Very true.
It's not awesome, but it still tastes good.
It's good enough. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it'll do.
It'll do.
Yeah.
And it feels good. I'm like, and you know what? It was the class changes that drove me over the edge.
Oh my gosh.
Feels
And flight.
Awesome.
Flight. I love flight.
I'm not allowed to admit that.
Right, you can't say that around your viewers. I think you have a VR NDA.
I got an NDA on talking about flights. So in D&D last night, you know, they're playing in the sort of coast, and they're level 9, and they're traveling all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, you know, why waste 3 hours of an entire us all getting together on them traveling across the freaking map, you know? So the campaign's built where at some parts Griffins just take you to the beginning of that next set of the adventure, right?
Ah.
And Ronix with me. And when I was explaining to him that they got there on their Griffins, he was like, I just want to point out that I'm against flying mounts. I was like, bro, I promise you do not want me to roleplay you traveling 650 miles in D&D. It won't be as adventuresome as you think.
Yeah. Hey, there's a balance, and striking that balance is the hardest part.
Yes.
You like just do absolutely the pendulum on this side or this side is the only solution. It might be the easier way to code it, but that's not ideal.
Yes.
Oh, that was a named. I was wondering why.
It
It
was
was
3-star, yeah.
That's a good drop there.
for who?
Tanky, I think.
Ooh,
Yeah, heavy.
nice.
There you go.
Oh, that reminds me. I linked a chess piece. Was that any good for you? 8 strength, 6 constitution. It probably isn't, but I didn't want to sell it in case it was.
Oh,
72.
Wait a minute.
Helium link chest.
8. Oh,
That's a lot of hit
that's
points.
exactly what dropped. So I got one.
Oh, you already have one.
Yeah, weird. That's the
Yeah,
exact
this one-
piece that dropped.
Here, I'll link it because it's not named that. It's named that.
Oh. I don't need it.
Oh.
Okay.
It's medium.
Yeah, it is. That's why I wasn't.
Yeah, she was
I didn't
checking
think-
because of
Yeah,
the
just
strength
checking.
and the con. All right. The far west of Texas, out in the middle of nowhere. If you come across a hotel called the Little Dew Hotel, and you're thinking about stopping, don't. It's a little piece of advice for everybody who travels.
Reputation matters.
We need courier of the setting sun. Gotta read some orders or something.
Is that here where we're at?
I don't know. I think Ren said the courier was while we were here, but I don't know.
Oh, there's some building. Do we want to check the buildings over this way?
Okay, I just pulled, but then we'll check the buildings.
Yeah. We should buff up too. I notice we're running out of buffs. Yeah.
Good call.
The D&D game, by the way, MJ, should be up for viewing now on the channel.
Oh, it's the yellow pallor crystal.
It was a good one. They found something very interesting. Do we need that for a quest?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Good morning, Rico. Yes, Stars Galaxies tomorrow. For MMO tourists.
Right. We hit 11 o'clock. Did we started a bit late though, right?
A little bit, but not much.
Oh, there's a name.
There's a current area we're at called the Rajan Outpost.
No, I'll have to look. Hang on. Let's see. I don't know.
I was just reading the courier quest that says we need to be in the Rajan Outpost.
Yeah, it's here on this channel, yes.
Thought that's where we were.
I also do another D&D on Sundays that is on Weave
That's
and
where we are.
Void on Twitch.
Okay.
So we have to figure out where the courier is. Yeah, we're in Kojin, I think. Yeah.
But on that one, I'm the player. And the one on my channel, I'm the DM.
So, the island is called Blighted Lands.
So if we're looking for a courier, maybe we need to find a mailbox. Where's the post office in this joint? Can we go inside? Ooh, we can.
Necklace.
Necklace. Necklace Fuja.
Necklace Vegeta.
Who are we fighting first? The names or
Necklace.
necklace?
That's a. Wonder how you ended up with that nickname.
Corpse of
that was
necklace.
one. Vegeta was slain. That's the 5 brothers.
Oh.
Ah.
Okay, so it is here. Just keep
Gomi,
killing everything.
Sakura, Sudo, and Yoshi.
Can't believe we just walked in that house and killed Vegeta. And he was Necklace.
He's asking for it.
Poor guy. What a disability.
Yeah,
Being a necklace.
that'd be rough, dude.
Can't turn your head.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to do 2 monitors because you'd have to like move your whole body.
your whole body.
You'd have to be like, let me see what chat's saying. Let
You'd be
me
like-
spin my chair here.
Isn't that... Couldn't, remember Man-at-Arms and He-Man? Wasn't he Necklace?
I think you're right. I think he was. Forgot about
All right,
that
I'm
guy.
back. Are there
Why
drops
is-
we need from here? Because I see,
I think I don't know, to be honest.
like,
just
we're
been
looking for
killing.
the orders, and which maybe drops.
Names.
We're supposed to kill the,
Who killed one of the 5 brothers?
and then we need to find the courier.
Oh yeah, I do
Alright, so I
remember
guess
that.
that
I
was
do
a
remember that quick.
false
My daughter,
But I
my
have
daughter
my
was
lumber
watching
for
that like
The Low Church
yesterday.
and
actually.
I got all the lumber for the basic structure for the cat shelter. So
Nice.
putting everybody's fundraising to good use. Finally getting all that stuff delivered.
Vanguard is awesome.
Ugh. I need a beer now.
see
I
another
wish
building up
we
this
could get
way.
it in its full release status.
Where's the conversation at now, by the way?
Which we will eventually.
Necklace.
Yeah, we're
We're
mostly.
talking about how Man-at-Arms might have been Necklace.
Oh, without a neck, like a neck man.
Yeah, because we just fought a mob named Necklace Fujita.
Oh, I do want to circle back really quick to the point that was being made when I had to step away, which is that there's no data.
Yes,
there
there's
actually
not.
is.
Okay.
But
From where? From
but,
where?
Here, hang on. This is what I have to. There is a caveat to all of this. The reason no one is willing to make a game that only has group-based content is because the data points that they have from the last time anyone did it suggest that it's not worth anyone's time because there's not a big enough audience to justify the millions of dollars that it costs to develop an MMORPG. Whereas you can justify a $20 million, $30 million, $40 investment into building a game that has lots of solo content, cash shops, and etc. because you're guaranteed an ROI. No one's willing to take the risk because there's not a proven modern audience that would consume it. So the data points are about 10 years old at this point.
I would agree, and their data, there's a lot of feelings there, not data. Data suggests that MMOs were growing way faster than they thought they were from the very beginning when it was very group-centric. And then a big brand released an MMO that allowed solo-friendly content. And because of the brand and because of the identity, people... That's a fact. There is data that absolutely proves that people are playing World of Warcraft when it vanilla and had never played an MMO before, period. Right?
And that was just brand recognition.
Right.
It's kind of like
that's
Coca-Cola,
brand.
you know,
Yeah. And then nobody tried it ever again to do grouping based. Now, I'm not saying it would work. I think you do need to allow... I didn't know you died. We need... there has to be a small avenue. I just think there should be a penalty. I think you should get an advantage for grouping, and it just shouldn't be as fast solo. I think that discourages grouping when it is. That's all I believe. I think there has to be a path for it. Just it's slower, you know. You're going to be killing greens, for example, instead of yellows, you know.
And, you know, you make a valid point, Ren, and I think that's why that was the disconnect with Smeedley and Brad, because Smeedley is all about the, you know, the maximum people and mobile and all that stuff, and Brad was like, no, I want to do niche, and that's why he used the word niche, and it's not going to bring the investors, like you said.
Right.
The investors want to make maximum money, not minimum.
Of course. Yep. Yeah, of course they do. And I don't blame them for that. Why wouldn't you, right? I'm going to dump all this money in. I want to get my return, you know? I'm not just sitting a donation. You know what I mean? Right. This is an investment. I'm expecting something back from this. So I don't blame them for even being that way. But and it's easier to prove things when you can say, well, look at this game, that game, the third that have done similar. But the problem is now we're chasing our own tail. And how many of those MMOs? I mean, the Old Republic, what was 200 million to develop, if I remember right, somewhere in that ballpark.
Wow.
They almost didn't make it. They almost didn't make it. They almost didn't turn a profit.
Star Wars Old Republic was it's 250 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
They almost didn't make it. And they were following the strategy. So it's like, sometimes you chase your tail too long and, you know, you're going to finally catch it. And then what? You know, like there's nothing
because when
to do.
Star Wars Old Republic launched, I don't know if anybody there's a big building up on the hill. Have you guys been in there yet?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Hey, there's the courier.
Yep, right there. So when Star Wars Old Republic launched, it had a small, and I mean small, component of... It was about like World of Warcraft Classic. It had a handful of quests that you could do on your own, which were your class quests, and then there were some world quests, but there was also a ton of quests on the planets that required small groups of 2 to 3 people, and then there were the flashpoints, which required more.
Yep.
And within the first 2 years, I think, it went free to play and got rid of all that group content and made it all... You know, because they weren't getting the numbers they needed to support a $250 million development cycle.
Yep.
And they had done all the things that they were supposed to do in terms of... don't forget to read those orders, by the way, from the quest that you just got.
Look the body, read the orders, yeah.
They didn't get the numbers that they
thought really?
Sure. Because not enough people wanted group-based gameplay. It was like, oh shit, you know, we've got to have more solo ability.
Nathan, don't forget to loot this guy.
So the Regine order, you gotta go into your bag and right-click it to read it.
Okay. All right.
Only thing left is finding the name.
What quest are you looking at?
The 5 brothers.
I saw Gomi, Sakuru, and Yoshi.
Yoshida. Yep. Still gotta find those guys. Might be in this house.
Maybe they're having some tea.
Not for
Kick the
that.
door in.
Tell you what you know what would make tea hard to do? Not having a neck. That would be really weird.
Use a straw.
A nicked Great Maul. Anyone want a 8 Constitution, 94 hit points Great Maul?
Now, I haven't looked at the ESO numbers in a long time, but I think the last time I paid attention, it was in the ballpark of 20 million. Had purchased the game, and active was a couple million.
Yeah.
Who's this Theophilus? Is that something we need, or
Where do you see it at?
Not that I know of.
right here?
He's not on
He's
any
got
of
a
my
rock
quest
in his shoe. He's limping.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a person who has been a keeper for too long. This is Theric's future. Sorry, Theric, but
He's just talking gibberish too. I can't understand him.
he knows too
ESO.
much lore.
Because I don't
Just
play ESO, and
limped
some of you
anymore.
do.
Okay.
ESO is free to play with an optional sub. It has a ton of solo content.
Buy to play.
And optional. Sorry, buy to play.
Yeah.
Buy to play with an optional sub, and then the solo content is the bulk of the content with optional group play, and it pulls in very solid numbers. Again, I haven't looked in a couple years, so it might have gone down.
No,
Last I knew,
you're close enough. Yeah. Nobody knows for sure because they don't release the numbers anymore. But roughly, yeah, and it feels right when you log in because there's multiple phases and they're all filled with people doing stuff. And no matter what level you are, you're gonna see other people running around doing the same things you are.
Right. So looking at a game like that sold 20 million copies and retains a 10% player base, that's a fairly successful game.
Sure.
And I would argue that that's a model that one could look at and say, hey, this works. We know that this
War
works.
noise.
And we could do something like this with another IP, another lore, another world. I would also argue that they're, like it or not, but when I had a conversation with Rich and then also meeting with Richard Garriott and stuff, the big thing that a lot of people took away from the monetization of ESO is the fact that their crafting bag works. From a driving a monetization standpoint.
Yeah.
That crafting bag absolutely drives subscriptions.
I agree.
Oh,
It's a big deal.
It is a genius monetization move. And I know you see some players who are like, well, it just sucks that I have to pay for it. Well, not really. I mean, it's a brilliant,
There's
it
a guy
keeps
here.
the game alive.
It's a
you know?
subscription.
I think
too.
it's a name.
Yoshida.
Name. I'm gonna die.
And I love bag space, so I will pay for it every time.
Who doesn't want more bags? You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's a brilliant monetization structure.
These doors remind me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the movie.
Uh-huh.
The doors open. Aww.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, got one.
There's the last name.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So also, World of Warcraft has moved away to, for at least for retail, it's subscription only. You don't have to buy a box anymore. You can just load up, pay a subscription, and you get access to everything up to the current expansion.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Wait, World
Which
of
is
Warcraft
another-
Classic? Is that what are you
Retail,
talking about?
retail.
Oh, retail. Yeah, you buy the newest one. Yeah.
Well, you don't have to. You can pay a monthly sub and get access to 100% of the game up to the recent expansion. So instead of having to spend $60 to get in, you can spend 15, and you get access to all of the game's content
Until
you hit
the
cap.
newest, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's also a brilliant monetization structure.
Are we handing it?
And that's to me, that's the gold standard now. You can't get away with this.
Hold up.
You got to buy all the expansions. You know.
Get on your horse, Bounty. Oh. Bounty knows what he's doing. Unless the hand-in's here.
Click. Oh,
No,
man.
I was reading a quest because we had another quest
The power
that we
crystal?
may have. Yeah, no,
Did we
there's one
miss
called
that?
the Spirit of Tsalsu, which we may have missed back at the other place, but it's
Oh, man.
it's fine.
Oh, power crystal destroyed.
Yeah. I think we missed that somehow.
That yellow crystal we were looking at?
Is that what it was?
Maybe.
I was so enchanted by the chat.
Or the chat.
I was enchanted by our chat.
Yeah.
Oh.
I missed out on a quest.
Yeah, I was more worried about my neck beard growing another millimeter.
It's already getting unwieldy.
Well, at least you have a neck, right?
Yeah, dude, oh my gosh. They couldn't even neck beard. I didn't even think of that. Just be a chest hair at that point.
Yeah. Alright, I got the 2 here. Was there somebody else? Yes, outside.
I've got Spirit of Talsu and 3 out of the 4 for the Raijin outpost deeper in.
Oh, so they're correcting us in chat. I didn't know this. I actually thought what Renfield said was 100% accurate. Apparently, it's up to the last 2 expansions, so you can buy a box set with BFA and what's Shadowlands included.
Gotcha.
Close though. It's the price of a box, a game, and you're caught up. But you can play for free up until you get to that point, right? They got rid of it used to be level 20. You could play to level 20.
Yeah, no, it's all the way up to whatever is the most recent expansion that they're letting you play to. So.
And Classic though, you just pay the subscription. You got Classic, period.
Question real quick on this Spirit of Talsu quest. The Spirit of Talsu says, I am Talsu, a scout for the House of Falling Leaves. My spirit is here somewhere in the camp. But I don't know where that's at.
I think that's where we were at.
Yeah, it says to destroy the crystal.
Yeah, it was a 3-ring yellow crystal.
Where?
Where we just were.
Oh, I was AFK for a long time. So
yeah, we saw one. It's yellow in color.
All right, so somehow we have to. Okay, so we have to go back to that area. I don't have it tracked anymore. That was the. Anybody know where that was?
No.
All right. Well.
That's another problem with flying. I have no idea where I'm at ever.
It might
Is it the Raijin outpost?
Maybe.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
on my map.
Yeah, it's on mine too.
Okay.
So is it ahead of us here?
It's kind of west.
Yeah, I am west. I see somebody flying around. So we're looking for a yellow.
Yeah, it was like a
Good morning, Jahai.
Circle crystal.
Okay.
And it was outside.
Oh, it's
big,
over here.
big.
The red
Found it.
crystal.
No,
Okay.
it's yellow.
Over here.
Oh, there it is. Gotcha.
Good eye.
Okay.
I think this is where we fought Necklace.
Yeah, it was. Yep, because that yellow crystal. I think he's in that building right over there, actually. Poor guy would look out the window, but he can't. he can't. All right, what are we trying to do here, though?
We gotta destroy that power glitch.
Oh, okay.
Anybody a wisdom light armor?
I'm wisdom medium.
Oh, yes, 11 wisdom chest armor, drop blue.
I just got one that was medium 14 with.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good one. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, they don't want us attacking that thing.
Family heirloom.
Down.
Hey, did I have to click it? I saw something update.
No, it just once it's destroyed, it should have updated for everybody. The Spirit of Talsu quest.
So that's weird. The Spirit of Talsu looks like it's complete, but it's not doing
It's
the
not
fourth
green.
dot for the Raiju outpost.
You haven't turned it in yet.
Oh, you gotta hand it in, right.
Well, then you don't need to be green because you've already handed it in.
I know, it's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird, isn't
I
it?
can evac us. Nobody
Oh.
was
Oh,
going
I
oh,
wait,
oh,
wait,
sorry,
I'm
sorry.
coming.
That's another
Alright.
problem with flying is you forget about
I want some
evac.
evac use.
Yeah, see? My evac, my ports are no longer needed.
I'm just gonna point out all the problems with flying for the rest of the stream
Yep, there you go.
because it's fun.
You're just trying to hurt me.
But then when I log back in WoW, I'll gladly hop back on and
Right.
fly on my quest.
The question is,
And I'll drink my Coca-Cola and smile at my hypocrisy.
the question is, where is the guy that we talked to?
Oh,
to hand
was
it?
he the one that was wandering around where we just were, though? Is that
I
who
don't
gave us
remember.
that one?
I don't remember. It might have been.
Oh, no. Oh, and I'm stuck on the ground again. I need to fall. Can I sit? Will that work?
Hey, how do you get off? How do you get your horse off the ground when you're stuck like that?
I usually go up a mountain and fall.
All right.
I'd say,
Oh, there it went.
I don't know
So that
about
just
5. I would say
steps right
10
there,
years.
broke it.
I would say 10 years. Mainly
Stuck in the
stunted
nap dish.
a few years by the chip shortage issue that happened. That we're just coming out of. I would say 10 years. Wait, where'd you guys go?
I'm inside the buildings.
So if we're going back to where we just came after bounty evac, this is that a
Oh, wait.
premature evacuation?
I
Could be.
think it is. I think it is.
I got all excited about using it.
Well, you waited so long to get to use it. I mean,
That's right.
That's what happens.
that's what happens. If it happened every day, it wouldn't never happen. You know. That's
Kind of.
that's a good excuse for you guys. I just gave you a freebie.
Oh, found him. Yep,
That's what
it's
she said.
totally this dude. It's totally this dude.
Is it Derek?
I bow to you, adventure.
Where are you guys? Ah, I'm getting. Guys.
We have them hailed and it stopped this progress. So if you just come to us,
Gotcha.
My spirit is forsaken.
I like these cool-looking shards spewing out of the earth.
So can I evac now?
No, we're missing someone.
Yeah, missing me. I just now found you guys. I was distracted. Okay, I'm here. Oh, I got turned in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we have the other one that hopefully hands in at the fort, right?
Alright.
Yeah, and I think now we turn back in at those two guys.
So now I can evac.
I think so.
yes, please.
Just wait till VR cringe pony. Just wait.
Nope.
Alright, he has a new quest called Rajin Masters.
Oh, it just wasn't lit up. Yeah.
Go to
You
the
see him now?
north of here.
Except I can't click on him. Too many people
I
in my
need a
MMO.
different- I need a different pick.
We need to phase over.
I really do. I can't click on them.
Alright, I'll back up.
Yeah.
Too many
There's a
horses.
hole just north of here.
Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember when Asmongold tried to play 14 and the community was trying to block him from playing? They would pile up on the NPC so he couldn't click.
Yeah.
Gosh,
It was like a protest.
whale mounts.
They were protesting him. Yeah, with the big whale mounts just sitting on the NPCs. That was ridiculous. And they're like, we have the best community. That
Yep.
seems not so good to me.
That's what made it even funnier.
Like, we can't let Asmongold play because we're such a good community.
We're so welcoming. And
We're so welcoming that we can't allow Asmongold. Like, what is going on here? Oh, yeah, that's a good
Is
point.
this a good spot to?
That's a really good
pause
point, Click.
or what?
Yeah, I mean, it probably is because
Yeah.
the next point I don't even know where we got to go yet. It just says go north of here, But we don't have a waypoint to it, so it might be on another island. I don't know. So this is as good as point of any. Although, I would argue for using the rift to go back to a place where we get rest XP, because we were not getting rest XP in this little outpost.
Oh. All right.
Where should we go?
Okay, yeah, good point, man. Let's get that rest XP.
Actually, we could always just do Rift 1 and go back to the newbie island.
Hey, what's this? What's this? I'd like to summon my earthly remains. What does that do?
Well, if you have a corpse somewhere in the... Oh, wait, are we at the bind and not the Rift? My bad. No, wait, that's the Rift.
Yeah, I'm at the... You gotta click the actual crystal, not the front part. Not the altar part. The crystal.
Oh, he's clicking on like the little door looking
Yeah, yeah.
window. Pane glass window looking thing.
Yeah, I don't know where there's an inn, so maybe just do the Rift.
Where's the rift?
Just
And
type
Kojin?
/rift space 1. Here, I'll type it in chat here real quick. That'll send you back to the newbie island, and then we get rest XP. So we can always rift back when we're ready to continue.
That's not right. I didn't do it right. What is it again?
Dot rift space and then do a space and then 1. Yeah, without the slash. What he
Somewhere in
did.
here you get rest XP. I just don't remember where exactly. I know I was getting rest XP in Tersh Village.
Yeah, it's probably in that big building or at that place right before you leave this zone. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, either that or where all the crafting stuff is.
Oh.
Yep. No. Yep, here it is, right here. It just showed up on my. It's the over your character avatar. There's like a to the left of your icon. There's a little thing that pops up that says Outpost. You are in an outpost camping hero. Will result in additional rest.
Oh, in the crafting building, you said?
No, just somewhere here. You'll notice there's an icon to the left of your avatar on the top left.
Oh.
And it says, you're in an outpost, camping here will result in additional rest. So that's the, I swear that icon looks different when you're solo versus when you're in a group.
Maybe because we're gaining group rest? I don't know.
Nope, here it is. If you leave the group, just for your own FYI, leave the group real quick and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's like a, never mind. I'm stupid.
It is the
Ignore
same.
me.
It is the same.
No, it's the same. There's like a different icon that's for the looking for group thing, not the icon name. But it is that
It looks
thing.
like a gray little helm.
Maybe, or like a man flexing or something. I can't really tell.
And before we go, I'd like to say for all the viewers on the multiple channels, this group actually does agree on all the base core things about MMOs, but we just love to squabble over the fine details because it opens up discussion and it's interesting.
It's friendly debate. And
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with friendly debate.
Right.
As long as everyone can walk away at the end of the day and not have their feelings hurt and still be friends, that's the most important
That's
component
right.
to it, because it allows us to have great conversations for the purpose of the stream and also to push thought processes forward and not stagnate on old ideas like so many other developers would like to.
Yeah.
And Maduro's, eased me a little further to his side of the thing with his comments about they changed it for a reason. And I was thinking that's fair.
Yeah, it is fair. And it
Yeah.
was a good solution. I've always said that. Obviously, World of Warcraft didn't say, let's add dungeon finders across different servers so that we
To
kill
ruin
the
the game.
community, right? Like that
Right.
was,
Right.
they did it because
Never.
it was a solution to people saying it takes too long for
A
me
real
to get
problem.
a group.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it solved a real problem.
it did solve it. Yeah, it did.
By the way,
Introduced
I
unintended
love the
consequence.
current iteration they have in Wrath right now is brilliant. Like, it is a really good solution because you
I
can
think
flag
so.
yourself as a specific type and then it puts you in, and then it can match you, and you don't get fast travel options, but it's pretty cool to be able to flag yourself as a specific type and say, you know, I'm and you're looking for groups that have a need for that type, which is not the same thing as an instant teleportation match.
It's very different. Yep.
Absolutely.
It's very different.
There's a gradient level of solution.
And you know what? Because of that system, there will be days where you log on, you want to do this dungeon, and you don't find a group. It will happen, though. That's the downside, right? That can happen.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or that you don't have enough time to do a dungeon because you know it will take an hour or 30 minutes or 40 minutes to get that group going, and the healer and the tank, etc. You know, so that's the point of us arguing, is we like to talk about, yeah, that's great, except for this, you know?
Yeah. And that might help people that are a little more like myself, less likely to find groups, push them a little bit to do that. If you know you need groups to do certain content more quickly,
Yeah.
then you might be in a guild, or you might have a group that you can call on.
Yeah. And I've even seen, in looking for group tools where you're allowed to leave a comment, I've seen absurd claims and they still get groups, right? I've seen people say stuff like, need carry. You know, like, straight up, like, I suck, I need a carry. And somebody will come along and be like, I will carry you, dude.
Because someone who thinks they're so uber feels like, I can do that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm such an awesome character. I'm so overgeared. I can totally carry this guy. And
Yeah.
he gets enjoyment out of that.
Yeah, he gets enjoyment out of showing how awesome he is. Yeah, exactly.
All kinds of people, right? So
Yeah.
absolutely, a matchmaking system is great for that.
Yep. I really do like that, because you can find anything too. You can be like, well, because there's a dungeon finder, there's a raid finder in retail, but there's not a, you know, I just want to do this zone. Let's run through this zone quest, or I want to do this one particular boss, you know, in this zone, or I want to farm for these mats, or you know, whatever. You can do it. Looking for group opens it up for anything. So I'm a big fan.
That's great. Absolutely.
I think something about this group too, when we discuss things, all of us have played and enjoyed many different kinds of MMOs. So
I
even
agree,
though we
Click.
might have an idea of what we think is perfection, we can still have fun playing all kinds of MMOs.
Yep.
Also, viewpoints change over the years, because what I liked
Yes.
20 years ago, I don't
Yes.
like today. What I liked 5 years ago, I don't like today.
That's
And-
100% true.
There's also, at least from my personal perspective, this is just me speaking now, I've also, even though I'm not actively doing any MMORPG development at the moment, having spent a little bit of time in that space, opened my eyes to other things where I went, oh shit, I never thought about it that way. And then it changed my viewpoint, because I stopped looking at things as a player and started looking at it from the developer side of view. And I feel like that more often than not can lead people to have a better, at least a better understanding of why things are the way they are.
Yes.
Or why things might have changed, especially when you talk about monetization and fast travel and hot topics that people have about things that they think were the bee's knees or whatever, and they're not there anymore. Well, there's usually a reason for that. Why did it change? And is it worth going back to, or is it just nostalgia?
Very true.
Which I think is
And
really
also
important.
the worth. Is it worth?
Yes.
Depending from a player's
Oh,
point of
man.
view, worth is different than from a developer's point of view who wants to make money, right? It's going to be a different definition of the word worth.
Yeah. Very true.
Also, development time, because if something is taking too long, or it's going to be too many man hours, or
Yeah.
I may have used this in one of our discussions last time, if the audience size is so small, like for example, we have Linux users who make up the less than half of 1%, half of 1%. And then we have Mac users who make up an even smaller percent. Well, then it's not worth it for the developer to develop a Linux client or a Mac client. But yet, the Mac client users and the Linux client users tend to be the most vocal about how, oh, there's tons of people playing Linux, there's tons of people playing Macs, you need to give us our own client. Well, actually, the data suggests otherwise. Everyone's using Windows. So there's also that component to factor in, because if it's not worth the time to develop it in the first place, it gets thrown to the wayside.
Very true. And there's with from a player's point of view, honestly, and I think a lot of developers have kind of lost sight of this, they're less concerned about the money side as they are of their time investment. A general player is thinking of a game like, is it worth playing? Is it worth my time? Do I invest hundreds of hours into this? Is it worth that? And that's why reviews and streams and all that are a big deal, especially on new release, is that they're trying to figure that out. Like, I can watch this 2-hour stream, get a feel for it, and then I can decide, is it worth my time? They're not thinking, is it worth my money? They're more thinking, is it worth my time? And I think a lot of developers are thinking everybody's worried about the money. It's not. It's not really that. It's
especially as you get older.
As you get older, yeah.
Yeah, I did a video about the Northrend boost the other day, and I asked the question, is it worth it? And I analyzed it purely from the standpoint of, if it's going to cost me X amount of hours to level, then it's worth it because I can make money while I'm working to justify the cost of that $50.
Exactly.
But on the other side of that equation are the people who argue, well, boosts ruin the economy, boosts do this, boosts do that. Well, that was not the question I was addressing. The question I was addressing, is it worth it from a time investment standpoint? Because it's only $50. And if it takes me 100 hours to level, then I'm only spending 50 cents per hour. Or if it takes me 50, I'm spending $1 per hour. So from a monetary investment standpoint, that boost is worth it because I get to save those 50 hours and go make 20 YouTube videos as opposed to spending 50 hours leveling. There's interesting things across the board.
Yeah.
Looking at the different pressure points.
There's so many variables that it's hard to black and white define the answer.
Yep.
Except when it comes to fishing, because fishing sucks in all MMORPGs.
Oh, I love fishing. That's one of my favorite.
Leave fishing alone. It's supposed to be boring.
Right. Love boring fishing.
That's a hangover from my youth when my dad made me go fishing.
Oh, there you go.
I hate fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I love fishing in real life.
In real life, not so much. But it's like the lottery thing. It's like, will I get that rare fish this time?
Yeah, yeah. You know what it is for fishing for me? Is that I think that anything could be under there, and maybe I'll actually find something nobody's ever seen before. I always think that when I'm fishing, even though I never have. And never will. It's just the possibility. It's another world under there. You know what I mean?
I get excited when I catch a fish, even if it's puny. I just
me
love
too.
the whole, like, reeling it in.
Yeah.
And what is it? And what kind of fish? How big is it? I love it.
Yeah.
Except for when you reel them in by the eyeball. That's.
Oh, I've never done that.
You've
No,
never done
I
that?
have.
You've never caught one by the eyeball? Oh, that's awful.
No.
I feel so bad.
that is
No.
awful. Oh, yeah. That'd be
Ugh,
horrible.
no.
You never
Mine
done
have
that?
always
I
been-
thought that I do that fairly often. I thought that was normal.
Oh, my gosh. What kind of lures do you use?
I don't know, but I do that fairly often. I'll reel them in by the eyeball.
No,
I'm like,
never.
oh no, I'm sorry.
He uses bear trap lures.
I thought that was common. My bad.
All right, I gotta duck out, guys.
Okay.
Chris needs to head out, and we got
Yeah.
lumber to sort through and stuff. So thank you again for a wonderful group this morning. I know I'll be back tonight with Lotro. I don't know if everybody else has other streams planned, but I'll be doing Lord of the Rings online tonight.
Nathan and I will be on the 101
Yep.
playing some ESO.
Yep.
Well, hopefully we'll see each other around today. If not, tomorrow. More fun tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's something.
Wednesday.
Oh, Thursday's the multi-stream. So
Nathan
Yeah,
and I
Thursday
might be doing WoW in the morning.
Yes.
Tomorrow?
That's the plan.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
We may start a little later than 8, just because
yeah,
the kids
kids
drop off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be back at 4 a.m. as usual. Yay!
All
All right, see you guys.
See
All right.
you around.
All right, guys. Yeah, have a good day.
Later, guys.
Honduras.
See you guys.
See you, Nathan.
All right, guys. Let me catch up on chat just a little bit. Hang on, let me fix Discord. So let's see here. I like that story about the catching a can with the worm. Oh dang it! I didn't click the thing. Catching the can with the crawfish in it with the worm. That's pretty awesome. Steam Deck is going to change. Okay, you're talking about the Linux. I think Proton's the way to go for Linux, since most of the time it plays just as well as a native client. Even better with a lot of the times. Oh, performance related, sure. I think that is a big argument, and I think the problem is getting Linux as a standard with setups. I think that's Microsoft's biggest boon, right? Is that it's just pre-installed, and the general populace, it works, so they're good, and works. I'm using that very loosely when I'm talking about Windows. I think that's really the key there, and it's weird. I really thought Linux would take off faster because of the price reduction it would be to release with it, right? Not having to pay the licensing fees, it's in usage and all that kind of thing to have a packaged PC with Windows on it. The problem is that if it doesn't have Windows on it, the general consumer is worried that whatever they're buying it for won't work on it, right? So it's just, I think, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to end up playing out. I think that is the problem with that. And VR Cannibal Dad will be super crazy. Yeah, and I think we had some good conversation overall today, but I do believe that, there is no perfect answer. That's the actual situation is like, you can have a solution, but it will create another problem, and sometimes we don't even know what that problem is until we're in it. Just like World of Warcraft, Dungeon Finders, etc. That was a solution to a problem. However, it caused new issues, and I think that's just the way life works. There is no perfect solution, and I don't think MMO developers should even try to make everyone happy. I think they should pick the group they're trying to entertain, and they should find the best way to entertain that group of people. And if that group of people is smaller than a few million, so be it. Then design your game in such a way that it's sustainable in the way you want it to progress in the future without needing the expenses that it would cost for multiple $1 million subscription game, right? And if it does get that popular as a fluke, then you can scale up. But I think now everybody just wants to shoot for the mass success, and the most subscribers, the most money, or else it's dead. And there's us talking games, this game's dead because there's only 2 million people. Like, come on, get out of here. These people aren't even on the same server. You don't need 2 million people. That's just a bunch of servers. That doesn't, having more servers doesn't help you on your one server, right? It doesn't affect you. Have your MMO your way. Right away, that's it. But guys, thanks for joining me. I will be back. I'm going to go check on Winter, because she's off today, so we're probably going to hop back in WoW Classic and level up her character some, see if we can't get her to a dungeon, and see if I can get her addicted to MMOs again. So, hopefully you guys will join me. Probably be back on there here very, very, very soon. But thanks for joining me. Excuse me. Thanks for joining me today, and for the support. And guys, I hope you'll come back as we stream that, and then later tonight, Pantheon Plus, Twitch channel, we'll be doing MMO 101. But until next time, my friends, God bless, and happy gaming. Bye, everybody.